Me and my wife were at the store, and I was only going to get 4 or 5 things there, and my wife told me she had to go use the bathroom, and I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I was going to wait outside the bathroom for her to come out. And on my way there, I saw her coming out of men's bathroom. I covered my mouth in shock, and I asked her, "Why were you in the men's bathroom for?" And she told me she went in to lock all the stalls. I said, "Why would you do that for?" And right before she answered, this guy who also saw her when he was taking his son to the bathroom, he came out and asked her if he did anything to the stalls, because they were all locked, and she said no. Then he went to go get a manager to come and look. Then my wife rushed me out of the store and into the car. I asked her why did he do that, and he said that she did it when he was younger and wanted to do it again. Now, be aware that 31 and she's 28. This is something that a 10-year-old would do. I am so lost on what happened here because I guess you were just that mad you couldn't figure out the pronouns for your storytelling. Both your wife and your typing skills need intense therapy. I'm not that bad with basic comprehension, but I had trouble understanding the whole story, TBH. I'm so glad I'm not the only one feeling. I don't even know what happened in the story still. I thought she had to piss. I've ran to the men's room to pee before, and I've seen men come to the women's just to pee. This took a turn. Is she okay? So, at first, I was gonna say, oh, maybe the woman's side was all occupied and she couldn't wait, because I've totally used the men's bathroom in those situations before. But then, she was just going in to lock all the stalls? This was a prank? Yeah, really hard to read the motive on this one. This is undecipherable. Has she been doing other strange and abnormal to her things lately? Key question here, there could be an underlying medical event taking place. Yes, my mom began doing more childlike things and doing silly things like this. It was a precursor to a medical event. I got dumber the more I read. My wife's obsession with plastic surgery has made me lose attraction for her. I've been married to my wife for 6 years now. When we got married, she said she wanted to do minor cosmetic procedures on her face to help with her insecurities. She had been insecure her whole life, so I was as supportive as I could have been. She got lip filler and Botox on her face. After a couple months, she got more lip filler and her lips looked scary to me, but she was very happy with them, so I didn't say anything. Next, she wanted to get her boobs done. Again, she was happy with how they turned out, but I thought they looked weird. They were so big and stiff, and my wife is a petite and skinny woman, so it just didn't look proportionate to the rest of her body. But again, it made her so happy, so I was fine with it. Last year, she said she was going to get a BBL. This time, I actually told her I wasn't going to support her on this one because it's a dangerous procedure. There was a story on the internet that went viral a month or so prior about a woman who died during her BBL procedure. I was scared. I asked her if she could see a therapist or psychiatrist about her body dysmorphia before doing this, but she refused and said it hadn't helped when she tried it before. She said she was doing it with her own money anyway, so I didn't have a say in it. I shut up and took care of her after the procedure. I was so glad she was safe and the procedure went well, but in all honesty, it was horribly done. The doctor made her hips so wide. Her thighs and waist were really small, so again, it just didn't look proportional. Now the problem is, I genuinely don't find her physically attractive anymore, and I don't know what to do about it. I want nothing more to be madly attracted to her as I was years ago, but everything she has done to her body makes her look slightly terrifying to me. I love her and don't think that will change, but I hate having sex with her now. I don't enjoy it, but her sex drive has increased since the BBL, probably because she's more confident now. Meanwhile, mine has basically tanked. I thought of talking to her, but I'm not sure what good that will do besides make her feel bad. There's nothing that can be done now anyway. She's confident and happy in her body for the first time in her life, and I don't want to ruin it, so I obviously won't ever say anything to her about this. I love every other aspect of our relationship, so that's just going to have to be enough. I obviously can't say this to anyone in real life, so here I am. Just wanted to get this out. Whew, yeah, that's a difficult situation. People don't talk about it enough, but a lot of plastic surgeries end up making the person look legitimately terrifying. Yeah, too much plastic surgery, you can actually look like a monster. That might be mean to say, but it's kind of true. I'm sorry you're going through this, and I applaud how considerate you have been throughout. You can't help what you're attracted to. It seems like she had a very poorly done procedure, and not many people are into that look. Insecurities are pretty ugly. Surgery doesn't fix them. After almost 2 years of consistent dieting and exercise, as of today, I am officially 200 pounds down, from 455 to 255. I never thought I could do it. I've struggled with my weight pretty much since I was 11 years old. That's when I really started to notice I was putting on the weight. At 12 years old, I was 200 pounds and I started high school at 260 a few years later. I ate my feelings all through high school. My home was horrible. I didn't go out and hang out. I was shy and uncomfortable in public, and so all I did was play video games and eat. I graduated high school at 364, over 10 years ago now. I put on almost 100 pounds since high school, up to the point I started this journey in late 2021. I yo-yo dieted for years, losing the same 60 to 70 pounds 3 times, but never being able to fully commit and always gain back more than I lost. A few years ago, I had a severe panic attack at work and genuinely thought I might be dying and decided enough was enough. I can either give in now and quit complaining and never put up a fight, or I can take back my life and take control of my destiny and shape it into what I want. I started the day after Thanksgiving 2021 and immediately cut out all caffeine and added sugars. I figured caffeine was not helping with the anxiety and blood pressure, so that's why I did that. Added sugars is obvious. Nobody needs that. Things like sodas and candies and Little Debbie's had to go. By New Year's of 2022, I was down to 429. 2022 was a bit of slow progress year, but progress was made. I hit under 400 pounds by May of 2022, and by August of 2022, I was 380s. September is when I really started to take it to the next level, as I started really upping my walking and started lifting weights as well. From September of last year to December of last year, I went from 378 to 339, walking on average close to 400,000 steps a month. At this point, this is when people started to really notice and make comments on my weight loss, especially at work. I get tired of talking about it, but I just smiled and nodded, saying thanks and give a brief synopsis of what I did. I hit under 300 for the first time in my adult life March 15th, 2023. That was an emotional day. The last few months I've really dug in. I got a bike that I can ride, first time riding a bike since I was a young kid, and go for 2-hour-long rides twice a week and have been doing that for a few months now. I lift weights twice a day and still try to eat as well as I can and walk as much as I can. There's a lot more to the story and backstory, but I doubt anyone will read this much anyways, so just want to say that if you struggle with your weight, you are not alone and that you can lose it. It just takes a little effort. Change comes when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of making the change. I still want to lose another 20 to 30 pounds and then really focus on building muscle, but after hitting this milestone, I just had to share with someone. I think it's pretty cool. Honestly, yeah, that is really cool. To be able to lose that much weight in that amount of time had to take a lot of effort, and you know what? Proud of you. I am so proud of you. This is coming from someone who has struggled with food and yo-yoed with weight for 18 years. You are an inspiration. Congratulations. You've lost a whole other person worth of weight. That is a huge accomplishment, and you should be proud of yourself. Keep up the good work. Brother, I've never met you, but I'm sitting here scrolling through Reddit, and your post has me beaming. Keep killing it, man. You're doing great. It is pretty cool. You've done really well and should be proud of your accomplishments. It's a big positive change in your life, and it's a big boost not just to your overall well-being, but also your willpower and resolve in doing the tasks you set your mind to. That will really help you through life's trials. Asked out a woman, and she looked horrified while rejecting me. I've had confidence issues due to being really overweight, and I've had weight issues where I would bounce between skinny and fat over a few months. I finally got it under control where I'm at a healthy weight, bigger than I'd like, but not anorexic anymore, which is good. I went and got my long, straggly, bad hair cut short. Shorter than I'd like, but hey, ho. I don't know this woman, but I've seen her in the same places I'd go. I've made a few jokes here and there she's laughed at when we'd talk briefly. This morning, I went up to her, smiled, and just asked for her number, thinking that, yeah, worst that happens is she says no. Been rejected a million times before, no big deal. But her reaction, her eyes widened. She put her left hand up to block herself almost. She was acting like I was gonna explode and attack her. When I simply said, yeah, all good, just thought I'd ask. With a smile, she immediately exhaled and got more relaxed, and I just walked away. I know I'm ugly, but that reaction it's like I'm this evil, hideous monster. Like Frankenstein walking up to a villager for the first time. I've been insulted while rejected before, and it's whatever. But this was honestly like she was afraid. Just destroyed my self-confidence all over again. Just something I've thought about over the years that applies to anyone of any gender. I think if you're the one approaching a stranger wanting to get to know them more, anymore, you should offer them your number, not ask for theirs. That way, they don't need to make a split-second decision to give away a piece of personal information without getting time to think on it. And generally, if you're going up to them first, you're already taking the risk of rejection. That actually makes a lot of sense, to give your number instead of demand it from the person that you're just kind of walking up to. Gives the other person some time to think it over in case they might not actually want to talk to you. Don't take it too personally. Her reaction to me sounds like she's had some bad experiences in the past by men not taking no for an answer. I hope OP is reading all these comments and taking them in. I hate to imagine them laying awake stewing about this when it's really probably not at all about them. I bet you her reaction is because men have blown up at her when she rejected them before, making her feel unsafe. I would bet cash that if you approached her as you said and reacted as you said, this isn't about you or your looks at all. She could be in a relationship, a lesbian, whatever. Her reaction sounds like it was of self-defense rather than horrified someone like you asked her out. Self-confidence issues suck, but I have to tell you, and I mean this positively and sincerely, it's not always about you. You see these big fatties out here in relationships, I'm one of them, truly unattractive people in relationships, having one-night stands. Looks matter, sure, but you'd be surprised about how not a big deal looks are and what a big deal self-confidence is. I think I get what you're saying. The one-night stand bit threw me off, so I agree. Everyone is pointing out that rejecting men can be dangerous, so I won't repeat that all again, but there is another possibility. She was horrified about the fact that she had to reject you because she didn't want to hurt you. I've always tried my best to be very kind but firm when rejecting guys, but having to do so makes me feel sick to my stomach for weeks after, wondering how they're gonna take it, hoping that it's not knocking their self-esteem, hoping they aren't too hurt by it. Being rejected effing sucks, but doing the rejecting can suck just as bad. That's extremely valid. I mean, in a lot of cases, I feel like it's mostly just a lose-lose situation. Is my husband using his weekly poker nights as an excuse to meet his secret boyfriend? My husband, Jake, 35 male, and I, 33 female, have been married for 7 years, and I love him deeply. He's a surgeon, and on most Tuesday nights, he heads out for poker games with the boys, colleagues from the hospital. But lately, I have been noticing some odd behavior on his part that makes me question the authenticity of these poker nights. It all started 6 months ago when I decided to surprise him with a packed dinner on one of his poker nights. Who doesn't love a homemade meal while they gamble? What I saw, or rather didn't see when I got to his friend's house, where the poker games are supposedly held, was concerning. The lights were off, and there were no signs of any poker game happening. Jake was nowhere to be seen, and our common friends had no idea about any poker night. From that day, I began to keep track of his schedule more closely. I noticed that during these poker nights, he would turn off his cell phone, something he never does because of his profession. At their conclusion, he would often stagger home way past midnight, reeking of alcohol. He also started taking more care of his looks. He'd started working out, got a new haircut, and his wardrobe had become noticeably chic. One day, I decided to casually talk to him about it, but as soon as I mentioned it, he got overly defensive, even accusing me of being controlling. That was the first time in 7 years I had seen him react so aggressively. Jake had always been an open book. Why was he suddenly an impenetrable fortress? Odd, right? Now, the kicker. As I was dusting our room, a guest receipt for a city boutique hotel fell out from Jake's jacket. The date on the receipt? Last Tuesday. The same Tuesday he was supposedly out at his poker game. What he was doing in a hotel while I was under the impression that he was playing cards is beyond me. Believe me, I don't want to assume the worst, but a chance encounter with one of Jake's colleagues at the grocery store made my heart drop. The colleague let slip that Jake had been spending a lot of time with his new resident, Tom. I admit I snooped on Tom's Facebook profile, only to find a picture of Jake and Tom at a fancy restaurant, dated Tuesday. These circumstances made me question my husband's loyalty. Could he be romantically involved with Tom? Is he using his so-called poker nights as a cover to meet Tom? My heart says no, but the evidence is stacking up against him. I'm in a dilemma because I don't want to confront him without being sure, nor do I want to break my marriage apart at a mere suspicion. I need help, advice, and if anyone has been in a similar situation, your inputs can lend me some courage. And please, serious feedback only. I am so lost right now. Oh my god, this one's kind of juicy. I'm sorry that's happening to you, obviously, but god, the drama of it. A surgeon with a social life was the first red flag, to be fair. Hire a private investigator. I like where your head's at, but if the husband finds out that she hired a PI to follow him, he's gonna be even more suspicious suspicious of her. This reads like another creative writing exercise, like much of the stuff here. It's like a Lifetime Channel movie meets Brokeback Mountain. Okay, and I'm still invested. Get out of here.
This is fake. Who just shows up to a poker night with dinner for their husband? And what about the other 6 or so guys?
Come on, you don't have receipts falling out of your jacket pockets every time you dust your bedroom? And please, serious feedback only. I'm so lost right now. I'm dead serious about what I'm about to write. Your fiction writing is corny, outdated, and cheesy. I planned a night out for my friends and no one turned up. So I've been working at the same place for 2 years now, and I had gotten close with a few of the people I work with. I considered them good friends, and we had gone out before, but this time I planned the night. I had set the date a month in advance to give people plenty of notice. At the start, everyone seemed to be excited about it when we talked about it, but I asked some of the people attending 5 days before the date of the night out if they were still coming, and they didn't give a straight answer. I didn't think much of it and hoped it would work out. I told them we would meet in town for around 7:30/8 p.m. and everyone seemed fine with this. Cut to the day of the night out, and one of the girls puts in the group chat, "So who's coming tonight?" No one answers. The message was put in the chat at 9 a.m. I didn't think much of it as the chat is usually quiet. I get ready that night and catch the bus into town. At 7:20, one of the girls says they're gonna have to miss it, but maybe next time. Thanks for giving me 10 minutes notice when you had a month to let me know. I wait in the square hoping to see some of my friends and no one turns up. I'm heartbroken and I'm dreading tomorrow as I don't know if I have any friends at work. I'm not much of a social person, so I only have one close friend, but even then I'm not thought of her best friend. I'm just an afterthought. A person people see every day at work and think nothing of me. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to confront them about this and tell them how it's made me feel, but I think it would only make the situation worse. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to read my post. M. Oh god, I've been M. I've been him. I'm sorry, but not terribly shocked that this happened to you. In my experience, about 95% of the time, work friends are not real-life friends, and these friendships seem to operate by a different set of standards that don't include things like consideration and thoughtfulness. I can tell you what I would do here. I would not say a thing about it, and I would be professional and civil with these people, and I would keep topics of discussion strictly work-related. And if anyone would happen to ask about the evening, I would simply say, "No one showed up," and just leave that sentence hanging there, because I'm petty like that. It may be that no one responded, so everyone felt that no one was coming, but tell at least your best friend and say how you feel. Maybe they had a reason.
At least one person was interested and you didn't reply.
I really don't understand this. I would have assumed nothing was happening that night too. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't really notice the way that you fumbled it. Did you even respond to that group text? Don't plan stuff for a month ahead with your coworkers. Try asking about a Friday night on a Tuesday or Wednesday, so when the night comes around, it's fresh in their minds. I definitely would have forgotten about this or lost enthusiasm by the time a month went by. How old are you and your friends? Another valid point, having like a date set up for a month in advance, that does give a lot of time for people to reconsider. You gotta be snappy if it's coworkers. Your coworkers aren't your friends. They're your coworkers. Just treat them like coworkers from now on. Don't worry, you'll find better friends down the road who won't take you for granted.
Went from being head over heels for this guy to repulsed in a heartbeat.
So I, female 28, started talking to a guy, 32, about 6 months ago. We hit it off really well. Last week, he told me that his best relationship was some years ago when he was 28 and the girl had just turned 17. They had a thing for months and he was talking how they were so compatible in bed, wanted the same things, etc. Honestly, it is making my skin crawl just thinking about touching this guy ever again. While in my country, the age of consent is 16 years old, you can't drive, drink, or vote until you're 18. So a 17-year-old is not an adult in my eyes. I'm now trying to find a way to tell him I don't want to talk with him anymore. I don't even want to see him ever again. As someone who was manipulated and used by an older guy when I was 17, I worry this girl was put through the same stuff I was. Don't have anyone I could say this to, so just wrote it here to get it off my chest. Holy yikes, yeah, that's completely valid to never want to speak to this guy. Like 28 and 17, come on, dude. At 28, his best relationship was with a naive teen 11 years younger than him with no life experience, no relationship experience. He could have told her anything was normal and she'd have believed him. I'd be blunt with him, so there's no gray area he can claim. I can't be with you anymore, especially after you had a relationship with what I see as a child. Please don't contact me or any of my friends again. Then block him, have some wine, and celebrate your escape. Yeah, really don't need to have any hard feelings on this one. That dude's a certified creep. Trust your gut. Where there is smoke, there's fire. Aside from the obvious issue at hand, what kind of jerk brags about how their best relationship was and all the great sex they had to a new partner? Even if they were the same age, that conversation would make my skin crawl. It's an easy block. My wife and I had a friend that we were out drinking with, and he shared his biggest age gap in a relationship/hookup. He was 26 and the girl was 14. But bro, she looked 18. Easy block. Stay the F away from my family. Draw that line and don't cross it. Oh my Jesus, what is wrong with people? I don't get it. I'd have to tell him, looks like I'm around 15 years too old for you then, and move on. I keep my promises. Once upon a time, I was a college senior working at a restaurant, and a strange woman at one of my tables offered me a job at her law firm. She helped me study and get into a good school. I had never had someone that wanted to help me like that. She made me promise that to pay her back, I had to do the same for someone else. She swore I'd meet someone like me one day, and I'd know it would be time to repay her enormous generosity. My paralegal is the exact age that I was then. He's so smart. Similarly rough upbringing. The moment he told me he wanted to go to law school, I knew it was time. Within a month of LSAT tutoring, his score has increased 20 points in one section alone. That's double the average improvement for all sections. He's going to be an amazing attorney. I'm so proud of him. He's going to help so many people, and I feel so privileged to get to repay the debt I owe by helping someone like him. That's kind of a wholesome story, though it does make me think, was there like a weird devil contract? Like you just have to keep this cycle going? This is the most wholesome post I've seen in a long time. This makes me believe in humanity. Great job, OP. Make sure he is aware of the story after he passes the LSAT and tell him to do the same. He knows. He asked why I was helping him, so I told him. It feels amazing to receive help. Even better to give it back. Aw, this wholesome. Faith in humanity restored. I'm breaking up with my girlfriend after vacation. I, 27 male, am going to break up with my girlfriend, 35 female, when we get home from vacation. We've been dating for 3 years and moved to a new state together, but after this weekend, I'm convinced we need to end it. I've been vacationing with my friends from high school for over a decade and consider them my favorite part of being alive. This year, my girlfriend came with us, and she doesn't get along with anyone. In the past, when we've met up, it's always been in her comfort zone, but that's led to me not getting to see everyone as much as I want. This time, we went to a neutral location away from home, and every activity, meal, and person has been a cause for anxiety for her. I know that she has mental health issues, and I try not to hold them against her, but in our day-to-day, I find it exhausting. In our vacation, it's been even worse. I always feel bad for not being able to handle her emotional bandwidth, but since this is a nice place in the mountains and everything has been taken care of for her, I know that the stress is purely from her end, and I can't handle it anymore. She's made us leave the cabin, even though all I've talked about for the past year is wanting to vacation without any splinting of the group. I know that my mental health has deteriorated from last year trying to always please her, but now that I've seen how without everything else in life to excuse the hardship, she still makes me cower under a wave of expectation. I've decided I can't be what she needs. I feel bad for not being able to help her, but everyone sees how she's affected me. Any advice on how to speak to the issue without hurting her, I'd appreciate, but mostly I just needed to make it real over text before I did it in person. Oh yeah, that's a tough situation. I'm so sorry you're dealing with that, or hopefully not anymore, maybe. Nothing is worth more than your mental health and your happiness. You've already done what you could have. Now it's time to take care of yourself, brother. Tell her that this vacation made you realize that you're not happy in this relationship anymore. You care about her deeply, but you can't be with her anymore. It's a personal choice whether or not to go into details about why. Personally, I'd keep it at that with no details. It gives less room for discussion and bargaining. Though when I'm the dumpee, having details gives a better understanding and closure. I appreciate this advice. I don't want her to feel like she failed at something, just that we don't mesh how we should. You're completely valid in this breakup. Mental illness is not a reason to make every aspect of your partner's life difficult and unpleasant. It reads akin to a relationship I've recently grown strong enough to break away from. If it's anything like what I've experienced, the vacation that you've detailed is merely an example or tip of the iceberg as to how your whole life has been slowly but surely pulled out of a happy existence into a more controlled hellhole. Run while you can still and don't look back. This part is super tough, but it's got to be done. I've had this issue. It was friendship, not a relationship. I had to walk away. The feeling of relief was mixed with guilt about abandoning my friend. I found out years later that she was the cause of all the bullying I'd received in high school. Don't feel guilty about putting yourself first. As the saying goes, don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. It's okay to say I can't help or handle this and walk away. My dad spent all my savings money. I don't know what to do now. I've been saving money for buying my dream bike. I gave the $60K to my dad because I'm not good with money and I sometimes buy stupid things out of impulse. I told him about what the money is for. He understood and said I'll put it in his bank deposit. Few months later, my mom's birthday came. I never did anything to my parents, so decided to split and give them the savings money. My dream bike can wait. So I called my dad and said my decision. Instead of asking why, he nervously said, I can't, and started telling lies about how he can't withdraw money from the bank and stuff. He said we can talk about this when I reach home. The next day, I head to the bank to check whether the money is there or not. Well, it's not there. There's not even a bank account in my dad's name. I don't know what to do now. Sorry for my bad English. Oh my god, I don't even have words to describe how, mad I would be. Did you ask your father what he did with the money? Your father is very inconsiderate and a toxic parent. I think he has showed you he cannot be trusted with anything. Is he planning on giving you your money back? As a parent myself, I can never imagine betraying my child's trust in me this way. Very unacceptable. He said he'll give my money back in a few days, but I don't know how. I ask him, but he gives confusing answers. He has an affair in the office that no one in my family knows except me. I guess that's where he spent all the money. Oh, good lord, it gets worse! I'm so sorry for the money that you've lost, but next time get a checking account. Not trying to be sarcastic. I'm not good with my money. Yes, you are not. Sounds like it runs in the family. I mean, I don't know. If he had $60K to save, he was pretty good with his money. It was the father who was terrible with the money. How did you check his account? OP is in India. Things could possibly be different with their banks. Never, ever have someone else hold on to your money. This was a lesson learned. I'm sorry that this happened to you. You may never see that money again, and if that's the case, you should never see your father again. Yeah, to lose that much money, I still can't. I think I'm gonna pop a vessel. I think I gotta go lay down for a little bit.
My mom and her boyfriend kicked me out and I spent months homeless. I just moved into my own place yesterday, and after my landlord left, I just broke down and sobbed. I can't even begin to explain how hard not having a place to call home is. It was so scary and humiliating. It was also not easy seeing parents being loving and caring towards their children. I would ask myself why my mom wasn't like that. Fortunately, I had a job, but still the dread of having to look for somewhere safe to sleep after work while people were going home was the worst. The feeling of complete hopelessness was overwhelming. I felt like I would never get out of the situation, but regardless, I pushed myself because the only person who could get me out of that situation was me. I took it one day at a time and always pestered my boss for more hours, and I saved every penny. I ate once a day to be economical because I just wanted to get out as soon as I could. Once in a blue moon, I'd spend a night at a cheap motel just to get some rest. The guilt would eat me up because it felt like a waste, but sometimes you just need the break. Just one night of sleeping on a bed in a safe-ish and private space, then I would go back to my normal anxiety-riddled life the next day. I was a wreck, but the fact that I was working towards something kept me going. I couldn't give up, and finally, I had saved up enough to get a place. I was happy, but I didn't want to get too excited until it was official. It's hard to explain the feeling. Now that I've moved in, I'm relieved. It's bare, but it's my home. It took a lot, and sometimes I didn't believe in myself, but I'm glad that I made it to this point. Hey, from one internet stranger to another, good on you. You persevered through a bad situation that wasn't your own doing, and came out on top. Keep kicking butt, taking care of yourself, and growing. You got this. Congrats on your new place. Check Facebook Marketplace and upcycle to furnish it. Female parent. She isn't a mom because a mom wouldn't do this to a child no matter your age. I'm proud of you. You broke the cycle and you deserve all the happiness. I was once in your shoes, but with 2 young daughters. It was hard, and I felt like the world was crumbling beneath me. It's a hard cycle to get out of, and I'm super happy for you. Take care. Way to go. I wish you so much luck as you move into a happier and safer phase in your life. I watched my boyfriend get a black eye last night. We went to the fair last night and traffic was terrible. We were in our parking spot trying to get into the line out of the fair for about 10 minutes before my boyfriend lost his cool and got out of his car to get the guy behind us to pull forward. He was not polite about it. He was screaming and causing a scene. Though let the record show he didn't touch the guy or his car. The guy ended up getting out of his car and punched my boyfriend in the face. My boyfriend was humbled, recollected himself somewhat, and got back in the car without really reacting. About 5 minutes later, the guy ends up getting out of his car again and comes up to our car. He tried to get my boyfriend to get out of the car to fight and tried to open the driver door. But my boyfriend didn't let him open the door. He punched him through the window twice. Oh my god. At that point, my boyfriend got out of the car and went towards the entrance yelling for the police. The guy just ran off on foot while we spent the next hour-ish talking to the police, though nothing came of it other than the ending of the confrontation. The fairgrounds medical team looked at him and thought he was concussed. He had a black eye, busted lip, and he was bleeding from his ear. They ended up directing traffic to let us in the line so we could get to the hospital and have him checked out. My boyfriend has a history of road rage, but I didn't anticipate it biting him in the ass like this. Hopefully it was a learning moment for him. He's mostly okay now, but I'm still a little shaken. While I don't think people should be assaulting others, there is also a ton of people like your boyfriend that think they can go around acting like a-holes with no consequences. He needs to work on his anger before he gets you two killed. My boyfriend was humbled and recollected himself. I'm sorry, but this has me dying. I know assault is not funny. Getting punched in the face is pretty humbling. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson. Wonder why the guy came back again. That's what gets me, especially after he got a good lick on him to begin with. And then he runs off and leaves his car there, which is making me laugh, TBH. My mom is an influencer, and I hate her for it. Long post, my mom, F45, has become a Facebook influencer. I, F16, used to not care when she took photos, but it's gotten crazy. Everything she does is now posted or live streamed online. Even if somewhere says don't photograph or film, she'd find a way to film it. It was annoying at first, and now it's downright frustrating, especially since 3 months ago, when she got really into it. I also completely understand the irony of me posting this on Reddit, but I just need someone to hear me out. I declined my 16th birthday party, so she threw a giant party claiming it was for her anniversary, my brother's graduation, and my birthday. There were 150 guests, and between my dad, my brother, and myself, we only covered 30 of them. I don't even know how much of that party she wasn't on her screen for, since she was constantly filming and uploading it. Along with a lot of her friends, I really wanted to perform there. I practiced for months, but the idea of her filming and uploading it made me nervous, so I backed down. I don't like being photographed or filmed. Even as a kid I didn't. Another time we went on vacation and every second it was filmed. When we got to a hotel, we weren't allowed in until she recorded the room, even if we just drove for 8 hours and wanted to sleep. She'd take her time in areas she could photograph, even if it was a rock. Actual thing. But when me, my dad, and my brother tried to enjoy a non-aesthetic place, I felt rushed, like she wanted to just go. If we got food, she didn't let us eat or move the food until photos and videos were taken. Even having us pose with the food or announce what it is. That one annoyed me. One time we traveled by car and it was over 10 hours since we ate. When we got a chance to eat dinner, she took my food before I got a chance and was recording it saying things like, "Ooh, how delicious." And I was so tired and hungry, I just gave up and started tearing up. On the vacation, when we went on a boat, but she was live streaming. She was calling out followers, thanking them and saying how much she loved them all. The boat was going to check out Alcatraz, and I thought it was so disrespectful, especially because it was a public area and not everyone wants to be filmed. And also, the history of the island makes me feel that it needs to be respected and not treated as a background to a video. One thing that made me want to write this post was because I was trying to get a drink out of the soda machine, and she had me pour out the ice from the cup so she could record me doing it for a shot. I have a certain ice to soda ratio I like, and it was perfect the first time. After that, I didn't get it correct, and it was just a damper on an already not so great day. After that, she held up my soda and was showing it off to the camera, and I had to just wait until she was done. Another thing is, I've started to envy her followers. She gives them so much more attention than me. She goes off on my dad about how much closer I am with him than her, but I asked to watch a movie with her and she declines. Her reasoning is always that she has a live stream later she's hosting, or a video to film, or her followers are live. She turned me down so many times I stopped even trying to hang out with her, since if I do get her around, she's on her phone. One time I asked for her opinion, and she snapped that she was tired from her job and that she needed time to post. She live streams so much that I sometimes have to skip meals because she can't have the background noise, and she live streams in the middle of the kitchen. She live streams for hours, and if she had any issue with the internet, she makes everyone power down their devices so she can get a better connection. The most attention she's given me recently was recorded. I was in a dance class, and the only time she looked at me was when she was recording what I was doing. The instructor praised me to them for my work multiple times, and she didn't even notice. I checked, and she was watching a live stream. I feel like I'm going crazy. When she posts about me, I feel exposed, like I have no control. My dad keeps saying she views the world through lens, and I have no clue if this is how parents are nowadays, but it's terrible. I'm so sorry if anyone else has to grow up like this. I often wonder how influencers' kids really feel. That sounds awful, OP. She sounds very neglectful, and you don't deserve that. Guessing she has her followers believing that she's an incredible mom. Congrats for ruining my favorite restaurant, and yes, I am breaking up with you. I was having brunch with your forking mother, which you knew because I told you that morning when you text me saying you have reservations at my favorite restaurant all of a sudden. I love that place, but it's a pretty long drive and it's pricey, so the last time we went there was our 3-year dating anniversary. So of course your mother thinks you're gonna propose. Your older brother just got married, your younger sister's engaged, everyone is just waiting for us to get engaged and has been nudging us about it. So the date comes, even your mother texts me, hope to hear good news, and honestly, I thought you were going to propose too. I would have been okay with it and said yes. But no, You frickin' piece of garbage. You took me to my favorite restaurant and tell me that you cheated on me with your coworker, that you said I had nothing to worry about. The B that you called just your work wife. You keep saying that it was just a one-time mistake and you want to make things work. I don't want to make things work. I hate you and your work wife. Go work marry her instead. Now I'm here fielding frickin' messages from all over your relatives that fishing for news because your mother was so certain it was going to be a proposal that she told everyone about our dinner date. Meeting you was the greatest regret of my life, and the only thing that I'll miss is that your family, for all their faults, were genuinely loving and good people that I enjoyed having in my life. I won't miss you. What an absolutely bad thing for them to do. I'm sorry, OP. You dodged a bullet, OP. I'm sorry this happened to you, and I'm sorry that you wasted so much time on this person, but at least you didn't marry them and then have to untangle things. And listen, you can take the restaurant back. My now ex told me she cheated on me at Disney World. Most magical place on earth, right under the Epcot ball. You think I'm gonna let that a-hole take Disney from me? I think not. Nowadays I go there, I walk past the same spot, I think about it, and laugh. I'm sorry, OP. If I was you, I would reply to each text with, he brought me out to a fancy dinner to confess to having an affair for months with a coworker. Don't lie for him. You'll be just fine. Living your life well is a good revenge. I'm so sorry, OP. I would make sure everyone knows what a lying a-hole cheater he is, and then focus on healing. You'll get through this. I wish you all the best, OP. That guy has some super special issues. Go work marry her instead. I love this sentence too much. Wishing you armfuls of love and luck moving on from that loser. My sister's kid said her first word to me. I was babysitting and just cuddling and talking to her, and when I said hello, she said it back. It was so sweet. I'm sure this was her first word, because otherwise my sister would have told me already. It's their first kid, and my sister and her husband are both excited, and I feel like it would crush them knowing they missed this milestone. It feels bad keeping this from them, but I think it's better if I don't tell them so they can experience her first word themselves, right? Aw, my nephew did this, but it was in front of his mom. I walked in and said, "Hi, cutesy, good morning," and he smiled and said hi. I melted. She was pissed. A secret you take to your grave. You have a glorious opportunity. Teach her to say, "Hello world." I think you're right not to say anything about it, and also probably never mention it to them even after she starts talking. I can see someone starting drama over, "OMG, why didn't you tell us? Blah, 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 blah." Just make a huge fuss over it when they bring her over and announce it themselves. What? What word? You were hearing things. First words and steps are parent privilege. Yeah. Let them hear her first word. You are such a good person for keeping it to yourself. I'm not at that point yet, but my baby rolled over for the first time yesterday, and I would have been crushed if someone told me I missed it. Yeah, keep it to yourself. No harm is caused then. I worked for many, many years as a nanny, and these are things you take to your grave. Just love the moment and keep it to yourself. You're a good sister. Ask your sister if she said any words yet, then, if she says no, lie. Otherwise, you can tell her. I actually feel like that wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe in the future you can tell her and it'll be a funny story. I am really starting to resent my boomer mother. My sister and I are children of a single mother. Our father has never been in the picture, and our mother never seeked child support for us. I'd like to preface this by saying my mother is our hero. She did it all by herself in a time that was hard for single women and provided a great life for us. She was a factory worker that worked on the line starting at 18 years old, the summer out of high school. She bought a 2-bedroom home in Toronto near the lakefront at 23 years old by herself after 5 years of working at the factory. She retired at 48 years old, 30 years in, with full pension and her house paid off. She is 65 years old now and hasn't worked a day in 17 years. She is constantly telling my sister and I, 30s, that we need to buy a house and stop wasting money on rent. By the time I was your age, I already had 10 years of equity into the house. When pressed on maybe helping my sister and I buy a house, she states she doesn't have any means to help, which is true with no income. But she follows that up with, "I didn't get any help when I bought my first home." Well, her first home was $77,000, which was 3 times her annual income. I make about $70,000 a year, and the average price of homes for a 2-bedroom in my area is $700,000, 10 times my annual income. The cheapest home for sale in a 100-kilometer radius is $613,000 for a townhouse with condo fees. Our mother looks at this and simply says, "You have to do what you have to do. Get a 3rd job. Start delivering for Uber Eats. Unsubscribe to Netflix." She always ends the discussion with, "I see people younger than you moving into homes in this town, so you kids must be doing something wrong. Others are affording homes, why can't you?" I try to tell her that most of those people are getting help from their parents through HELOC. My favorite line has been, What did you do 4 years of university for if your job can't afford you a starter home? I work in a forensic lab and appear in court as an expert witness on major criminal cases. That's why I went to university for 4 years. The fact she doesn't understand that the world is so drastically different now than when she was my age is really starting to put a strain on our relationship. They also forget that credit scores were introduced in 1989. I'm a boomer and I understand all the problems facing our youth. She's got her head in the sand and that's on her. Boomer uncle's bad girlfriend tried to go off about the current economy, which she does not understand at a recent family event. I spent a lot of time explaining that she, a retired government worker with a federal pension in her late 60s, early 70s, literally has no frame of reference for what things are like now. I finally have health insurance, but no PTO or sick vacation time at a full-time job in a literally life or death industry. I repeatedly acknowledged how essential her job was to the country running and how everyone should receive benefits from dedicating full-time hours to a career. And like, this woman is also anti-union. Lol. The lights are on, but no one but old, inaccurate propaganda is home. Remind her you'd easily be able to buy a house if boomers hadn't pulled the ladder up from behind themselves as their lives improved, doing their level best to ensure wages stagnated and basic living would become unaffordable for the kids and their grandkids. My best friend doesn't like that I'm engaged. Katie and I have known each other for 15 years now, and for that whole time, she never has been single. She has bounced from relationship to relationship, never staying single for more than a few weeks, where I have been single for the majority of that time. I had always joked that I was a romantic and how the only way I would ever get with a guy would be if he was really rich. So I never had to work again. I just focused on my career and started my own business and forgot about men instead. Then one day, Jay came into my work looking for business and we got talking. I didn't even realize he was flirting with me until after he asked me for my number and we had been texting for a while, and I realized we weren't talking about business at all. After a while of talking, we went for dinner. Both our schedules were busy, so it took a while, but we made it work, and eventually we ended up in a relationship. I find our relationship very relaxed, I think because we both run our own businesses and we are both very busy. We make time for each other, but our time apart makes our time together that much more special. Once our relationship became serious, Katie's attitude changed. She started asking me when I'm gonna break up with Jay, but I told her I had no plans to. She then reminded me that I wanted a rich man who could take care of me. But I said that I was only joking and I'm not that shallow, nor am I 18 anymore. She backed off for a bit, but when I told her I was getting engaged, she told Jay he had to start earning more money because once we got married, I would stop working. She said it in a joking manner, but I knew there was venom behind her words. I don't understand why she is so angry at me for finally being in a long-term relationship. She's acting like a toddler. It sounds like she's jealous that you're engaged and she's not. My best friend couldn't deal with my getting my dream job. She kept trying to convince me to quit and go back to school, even set me up with people in different fields to try and convince me. We no longer speak, but you still have a shot at saving your friendship if Katie cooperates. You can tell her what you told us and ask her WTF. She has the choice. She can either drop the jilted bestie act, or she can continue the act without you in the audience. Good luck and congratulations. She seems to want what you have. She's not a good friend then if she can't be happy for you. She's not your friend. The sooner you accept it, the sooner you can see her for what she is. This is the type of friend that will try and test your BF loyalty. Just move on. She's ugly jealous. I just dropped a bomb in a Starbucks. Holy shit, there's no way. All right, I-22F was just in a Starbucks. Starbucks. I sat there for a few hours to get some work done and had about 3 coffees. I decided to run to the bathroom before I left and sat down to do my thing. Now, mind you, I'm currently visiting my boyfriend. We do long distance. I'm sure many women can relate when I tell you I haven't had a poo in like 5 or 6 days. We've eaten Chipotle, we've eaten burgers, Wagamama, etc. I haven't pooed once. My body just won't do it when I'm not at home. I'm not in control of it all. It just doesn't happen. However, come today, I've had 3 coffees in a few hours. I'm PMSing. My body's a bit out of whack, so back to Starbucks. I suddenly feel the urge to take a poop. Excuse my language. When it comes out, it feels fine, but kind of sharp. I don't think too much of it until I get up and look at it. It is massive. It was right there, staring back at me as if it had just ruined the rest of my freaking already bad day, no pun intended. I try to flush it, and everything but the poop flushes. It doesn't even bend or anything. It just floats back up as if it's mocking me. I try to wash my hands to give the toilet some time to reload or whatever, and then try to flush it again. It disappears for a second, but then reappears. It's still completely intact, again mocking me. All while this is happening, I'm panic texting my boyfriend, telling him I don't know what to do. Do I grab it and throw it? What? Do I crush it with the toilet brush? We figured the second option is the better one, so I try to crush it with the toilet brush, and while I'm doing this, someone grabs the handle of the door and knocks, and I try not to panic even more. I turn the sink on to make them think I'm washing my hands, but my time is running out. I go to flush one last time, in the hopes that now 3 slightly smaller pieces will finally surrender. There's no hope left for that poor toilet brush, who just minutes ago was blissfully unaware of the tragedy about to strike. I push the flush lever, it flushes. My last hope. I think surely it'll disappear now, and just when I think I'm finally safe to have a slightly awkward escape past the inevitable queue outside the toilet, The bits reappear and they're still floating. I eventually toss a bunch of paper on top of the bits to hide them, but it's impossible to hide them. I grab my things and bolt out of there, rushing past the queue of 4 people, including one very concerned looking man. I'm never, ever, ever going back to that Starbucks. And to the people in the queue and the employees of the Starbucks, I'm so sorry you had to see that. This lady needs a porta-poop knife. As someone that had to clean public restrooms a long time ago, please do not cover it with toilet paper. That does not help, and it makes it so much worse. I'm sorry this happened to you. Glad you, got it out. I've had to clean women's rooms. Please never try to cover the shame with TP, or anything else for that matter. It only makes things worse for when we have to go in there and deal with it. 100% would rather deal with a whole log than 1,000 floating bits in their tiny paper capes. Staring back at you, that turd gave you the evil eye. This sucks and I'm sorry it happened to you, but this was also kind of funny. However, what gets me is 5 to 6 days without pooping? What? How? How is every poop not a monster? Missed opportunity to ask the barista where they keep the poop knife. Yeah, that's a Reddit joke. Lol, everyone poops. But other than the embarrassing situation, you must have felt so much better. Lighter. Fact, the human colon can hold up to 10 pounds of feces. I work shifts. I got home today a little after midnight. My wife was home in bed asleep, but her phone screen and flashlight was lighting up the room. I guess it hadn't locked because the light was on. I walked over to her and noticed it was open to Bumble. I didn't freak out, not yet. I gently lifted the phone from her hand and turned off the flashlight. Then I did what anyone would do. I looked to see who she had been matching with and messaging. There must have been a dozen or so men who she had been chatting with. A few of them, she'd given her Snapchat and phone number. So I checked her text. Sure enough, she had been cheating on me. It was clear. Multiple hookup arrangements. Multiple instances of her initiating conversation, asking for sex, where to meet, etc. I threw her phone and turned the lights on. I told her, I'd like you to leave, now. She was confused, obviously, but immediately started searching for her phone. I told her where to find it and to grab some clothes for the road. I offered to help her empty the closet and pack up her car. This wasn't the first time she'd betrayed my trust, and I refused to see it before. She's out. I don't want to see her ever again. Sorry to hear that. Must have been very tough. I'm so sorry to hear this, but I hope you click some pictures of conversation as legal proof, just to make it easy for you later. It will help you better for legal aspects. That's tough, man. I'm sorry. You did the right thing. I hate to be that guy, but I think you should get STD testing done ASAP. Your strength and resolve is admirable. This is how it's done. I'm convinced there's one person who's in charge of audio leveling for movies and TV, and they suck at their job. Seems like every movie or TV show I watch, I'm having to constantly lower volume because the music is too damn loud, and then raise it because I can't hear what they're saying. Whoever this person is, I want you to know I hate you from the bottom of my heart. I feel this, and also with commercials on streaming platforms being way louder than the show. Like, it can't be that hard for someone to fix it. The original reasons given for commercials being louder before the streaming was that a lot of people would leave the room during commercial breaks. They wanted you to still hear the commercials. I don't know why they do the same thing on streaming platforms, but there might be a similar reason. Explosions, way too loud. Gonna wake up the whole house. Dialogue, inaudible. Miss the entire plot. The bottom of my heart hates them right beside the bottom of your heart. Another thing I hate along with that is it seems every fight scene involves the camera shaking and close-up quick shots, so you can't even really tell what's happening. If I wanted to watch a fight video with camera work, I'd watch old World Star videos. You need to change the audio portion from the Dolby 5.1 thing to the normal one if you don't have a surround sound system. That's usually what causes this issue. Seriously? It's my fault then, lol. I blame Christopher Nolan. The older and more financially successful I get, the more I want to withdraw from society. In my early 20s, when I started making real money, I dreamed of retiring in the same major city where I lived, having the time and the money to enjoy all that city has to offer. In my 30s, with even more financial success, I dreamed of retiring to a popular beach resort where I vacation each year and spending my days at the beach with everyone else. Now in my 40s, with a $310,000 income and an 8-figure retirement account, my plan is to retire at age 55, buy several hundred acres of land in the Midwest, build a nice house on that land, and do everything I can to forget that the rest of humanity exists. I don't have your resources, so I'm just waiting to morph into the local bog witch. I'm with you on the abandoned humanity and melt into nature thing, wishing it were fashionable for wealthy people to keep a hermit on the grounds of their estates again. I can do wild hair, scraggly robes, and meaningless gibberish if required. The older I get, the more reclusive I get as well. That's why that funny little shirt that says, "The more I get to know people, the more I like my cat or dog," isn't just a funny little shirt. I can understand where you're coming from. I've seen how poisonous humans are my whole life, now that they're happy to broadcast it to the world via internet. The older I get, the more I have cut people out of my life for toxicity or even relatives. Middle of nowhere is certainly appealing. If I had the resources, I'd do the same. I just want people to leave me and my wallet alone. I will never feel like a woman. I was born a woman. I've lived my whole life as a woman. I don't feel like a woman. I feel like someone who's trying so hard to be a woman but just isn't. I want to be a woman. I want to be a woman so badly, but I'll never feel feminine in this disgusting, ruined, unlovable body. I stopped growing in the 6th grade. I'm flat everywhere. I'm shaped like a cardboard box. 90 pounds at 20 years old. I look like a child. Why can't I ever be a woman? Why did all my friends grow up? When do I get to blossom? When do I get to grow up? Why can't I be pretty? Even my face looks childish. No matter what I do, no matter what makeup I put on, I look like a 13-year-old. I'm so ugly. I hate everything about this. I was so happy when masks were required because then I could hide my face too. I'd never felt so confident because nobody knew what I looked like. It was pure bliss. Even petite clothes are too big on me. A-cup bras are too big. I get my clothes from the men's section to hide the shape of my body. Women's clothes look wrong and my whole body looks wrong and I hate it. I change and shower with the lights off. I hate it. I hate existing like this. Why can't I ever look like a woman? Why do I have to spend the rest of my life looking like a child? Why can't I ever be beautiful? Why can't I wear women's clothes? Why don't they look good on me? What did I do to deserve this? Everyone laughs when I try to explain this to them, including my own mother, so I guess I'll just let it out here. Apparently, I don't get to hate my body because I'm skinny. I'm underweight, not skinny, underweight. I hate my body. I hate how it looks. I hate what it's been done to it. I hate that I'll never feel like a woman. That's all. I just needed to get off my non-existent chest somewhere. This could be a mix of genetics, hormones, and nutrition, as another commenter mentioned. The things can all influence each other. If you can afford to, try to see a doctor and get your hormone levels tested. Try to have more than one nutritional meal a day and get your calories through liquids. Mental health-wise, I have friends who are also naturally extremely petite and are either happy with themselves or learn to accept themselves. Some are in great places in university or in loving relationships. Even if your body can never change, you can still try to fight for yourself every day to feel better. It's hard and might take and feel like forever, but I believe you can do it. I wish you all the best, OP. Every time I read such a post, I really want to see how the person behind it looks, because I bet $100 million kajillion that it's not that bad how you think it is. Most of these feelings come from comparing yourself with others, and I know it's hard not to. As someone who goes to the gym often, I catch myself comparing to others, but it's not freaking healthy. Body dysmorphia is real. Seek a therapist. Are you only 20? Women's bodies are constantly changing, even from 20 to 25. Your body is still changing, and you'll notice you'll start to carry more fat around your hips, thighs, etc. My body stopped changing entirely at 13. I'm holding out hope it keeps changing, and I start to look like a woman. Welcome to the club of we don't tick certain society boxes, but we really don't give a frick, and live relatively happy life. Coming from a dude that is 24 but looks 17 at best, stopped growing at 15, I don't feel like a man at all. I finally paid off my student debts today. Just wanted to celebrate the good news. I had a grand total of $50,000 in debt and have been paying off for 7 years now. I had like 13 years to go. Last year, I decided to take better control over my finances since I realized I wasn't saving anything. Decided to cut down on spending, got a cheaper lease, car, and took a new job with better pay. The vast majority of these extra savings went to ramping up my repayments. I had already paid off $4K so far this year already. This year I've been lucky with hitting performance targets at work, and I managed to get quite a big amount of bonuses. I had roughly $22K left. I decided to use my $12K in bonuses plus the majority of my savings account to just repay the final amount. This feels really good. I thought this would be a debt I would carry with me until I'm old. I'm finally happy to be fully rid of this. It's been a major goal for me for the past 2 years to fully repay this. Congratulations. Anybody who takes their debt into their own hands and actually works to pay it off is something worth celebrating. I bet you feel pretty great right now. Enjoy. Awesome. Congratulations. Good stuff. The interest is what gets you. How much did you have to pay to get it all covered with interest? I was kidnapped by my childhood best friend and her mom without realizing it. My mom suggested I could share my story to raise awareness, but the truth is that if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have ever seen it as kidnapping. If you'd expect a dramatic story filled with abuse and torture, I have to disappoint you. I think it's not a bad idea to share my story, and since I love Reddit, I decided to share it here. I figured that this subreddit might be the best one to do so, using a throwaway for this, as I only want to raise awareness for this without going further into it and having my main account associated with this story. But let's get to the story. This happened when I was in elementary school. Like for most children at the age boys and girls are somehow rivals. Me and my best friend, let's call her Lisa, fake name, however, single-handedly destroyed that stereotype. She was pretty much the exact female copy of me. Our interests aligned so well that we quickly became best friends. The day it happened, I asked my mom to stay at Lisa's house for the night. She said yes, and I packed the stuff I needed. I was only prepared to stay there for one night, but one night turned into a week. When I arrived there, we had a great time playing video games, doing roleplay with our toys, and playing hide and seek at night. It was much fun. The next morning, I prepared for my mom to get me, but this was when Lisa's mom told me that my mom had been called her and told her that I had to stay at their house for a bit longer. Being the naive young child I didn't question it. Yes, I was confused, but this only made me realize that I could spend more time with Lisa, so for me, it wasn't a problem. This was at the time where I didn't possess a smartphone, so it's not like my mom could have just called me. I stayed there for an entire week before I started to question why my mom hasn't gotten me yet. I wasn't allowed to leave the house either. I was only allowed in the house in the garden outside. When me and Lisa played outside, a neighbor saw me and called the cops. It turned out that my mom filed a missing report at the police station because I was missing for a few days. It turned out that my mom had actually tried to get me after the first night, but when she tried, Lisa's mom told her that I already left and that apparently I told her I wanted to walk home when she offered me to give a ride. Lisa's mom was such a sweet person that no one would ever suspect her of doing something like this, so even my mom figured that someone had to kidnap me on my way home, so she filed the report. The police reunited me with my mom and I was confused as hell. I had a great time there. Yes, I was a bit worried why my mom never got me, but I couldn't understand back then why Lisa's mom was arrested. This happened during summer break and I didn't see Lisa during summer break, and she also didn't appear appear at school on the first day. I have no idea what happened to her. Right now, I assume that this incident ruined their reputation so much that they moved away and I never saw Lisa again. Like I said, it's not a typical kidnapping story. It all was so sneaky that not even I, as the alleged victim, could tell that it was one, but my mom insists that it was a kidnapping. So yeah, that's it. I still don't know if labeling myself as a victim here would be right because I just don't feel like one, but that's just me. Edit, wanted to clarify something. I was a child with the attention span of a fly, and to tell this story based on what I remember, what my mom told me. I assume that if my mom told the police the same thing, Lisa's mom told her the police maybe didn't focus that much on Lisa's mom. If they did, they might have just taken a witness statement of her at the door, and then it's not far-fetched I didn't notice it, especially since I was at Lisa's room most of the time and was focused on the games we played. This is also why I didn't notice when my mom tried to get me after the first night. Just wanted to clarify this because some people call my story fake because the police wasn't investigating Lisa's house from what I could remember. That's so strange. I can't imagine what your mom was going through. Also makes me wonder if that was even Lisa's real mom. Wish you could track down your childhood friend since you know her first and last name that she went up by at the time, and her mom's. If you ever do, please drop in an update. What a crazy story. You were kidnapped, but you weren't abused or mistreated. Since you spend your time playing with your friend and having fun, you don't feel like a victim. Yeah, I think his mom is a huge victim here. So traumatizing. Yeah, for real, I would have never wanted to let my child out of sight after this. Even hanging out with friends in public places becomes suspicious. Damn, I hope the cops followed up to find out if Lisa was actually the mom's kid and not another victim. I've come across stories like this where the other kid is a lure, knowingly or not. Lisa sounds like the not knowing on account of being an elementary school kid. It really can be just anyone. That's scary as hell. It's a good thing you were having fun inside instead of being scared, but your poor mom. A really weird and scary situation all around. Something similar happened to me, though the cops didn't get called. I got permission to go with a friend, but the plan was never finalized. So when my friend's mom said I was going with her after school, I didn't question it. Also, I didn't try to call my mom, but she didn't answer and I didn't have a phone of my own. My mom went to the school to get me and I was gone. After a ton of freaking out by her in the school, she came to get me from my friend's house and I was in trouble. I don't think it's similar. What happened to you was miscommunication. What happened to the OP was an actual kidnapping. My manager demanded I go home to change my outfit. Is shocked when I come back with a 2-week notice. My M31 job had just started 6 months before the pandemic. Once COVID hit, we were all working from home, which for me was a new, sometimes challenging, but exciting experience. I used to get up at 5 a.m. and travel an hour and a half in order to get to work on time. I wouldn't get home until 7 p.m., so working from home made a major difference to how much time I had to spend with my family. This went on for 2 years until my job demanded we all come back into the office, which sucked. During this time, my old manager was very lenient and allowed us to keep working from home a couple days a week. This all changed when she was demoted and new manager wouldn't allow anyone to work from home, unless of course we caught COVID, which sadly I did. 2 years of never catching it, and it was all ruined just 6 weeks when they called us back. Now on to the story. My new manager was a bossy, angry, harass of a woman and demanded things that just didn't feel right. She sent multiple people home because of some things they wore. This was a call center job, and the dress code was essentially no football tops or revealing clothing, which was fine. The manager took this a step further and sent anyone wearing what she didn't like home. This included a pregnant colleague who had to wear leggings for comfort, and my old manager, who was also wearing leggings due to cramps. Then came my turn, as she didn't like the way I dressed, even though I dressed the same way for 3 months. She demanded I go home, change, and then come back. I explained that unlike most of the people working here, I stay a good while away and it would take 3 hours to get there and back. She didn't care. I offered, couldn't I just stay till the end of the day and then change for the next day? Rejected. Couldn't just go home and work from home this one day? Rejected. Oh, and I should mention that she said I would have to work those hours back as well. I was forced to leave work and spent the 3 hours on the bus being fuming. Luckily, I had stuff to do on the bus and began rage applying out of sheer spite. Surprisingly, I got a ping for a job where I can work from home permanently and was able to set up an interview. On my way back from the office, I stopped by a local shop and bought an envelope and paper and wrote a quick 2 weeks notice. When I got back into the office, I calmly walked up to the manager's desk, advised her that she was just made me do what was very upsetting, and handed my 2 weeks notice. Look was priceless, but only lasted a second because she pulled me into a meeting with 2 other managers. It was here they are suddenly all apologetic and try to get me to stay. Even offered to let me work from home again. I politely declined as this was too little, too late. Reason why they wanted me to stay so badly is if enough colleagues quit before a certain date, the managers lose their bonus. Needless to say, I turned down their offers and they got rid of me after just 1 week because I didn't comply with every little thing. I'm at my new job for 6 months now. Love working from home, and they gave me my own laptop in order to work from home. Thanks for listening. Congrats. Sound like you made some tasty lemonade out of their shitty management. Hey, this happened to me at my fast food job. I told the manager to actually instruct me to come back. Otherwise, I wouldn't come back. Don't think she got the hint and seemed surprised when I in fact did not come back. What were you wearing that she took issue with? Banana hammock, nipple tassels, it can get cold. And worse, he only twirled them clockwise. The boss was a counterclockwise sort of woman. I'll never understand why so many businesses are doubling down on all the money they spend on commercial real estate by making people come back to the office. Let people work from home and downsize your office space like crazy. My buddy is taking over his dad's company, and his first major move as incoming boss was to downsize their office. People rotate coming in 2 days a week, so 2 people share a desk. Once a month, they all have an all-company meeting on Friday. It's a good balance, and his employees love it. Also saves him a ton of office expenses. Congrats, you leave that that toxic company and coworker. My 22M girlfriend 22F cheated on me with my sister 24F. I'm writing this while shaking and with tears in my eyes. My girlfriend of 3 years, who I thought was the love of my life, is cheating on me with my sister. I always had my suspicions that my sister likes girls, but I was never sure. However, if we were going out and she knew my girlfriend would be there, she'd change her whole outfit and put on more makeup, but I didn't really think much of it. My girlfriend, however, she always told me she's straight and she doesn't see no one else but me. She always told me that I'm the love of her life, and I really thought this girl was my soulmate. Yesterday, I was at my girlfriend's house and her mother called, so she left me alone in her room for a bit and she kept her laptop open. I saw an Instagram page and she got a notification from my sister, so I got a little curious. When I checked the message, I almost threw up. It was a very dirty message, so I started shaking and continued reading the chat, and there she is, the love of my life and my sister sending each other clips about what they want to do to each other. They also had explicit pictures and videos of each other, and I saw humiliating and heartbreaking jokes about me. When my girlfriend came back to the room, I left the messages tab between her and my sister open to let her know I know what she did. She got crazy and started yelling at me, calling me a creep for reading her messages. I get that it's wrong to read her messages, but this was my sister. I really can't believe that any of them would do this to me. I was always so close with my sister, and my relationship with my girlfriend was perfect. I'm devastated, and I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose any of them, but this is too heartbreaking, and I can never forgive them. I'm so lost. Your sister and girlfriend are terrible frickin' people, and they deserve each other. I really hope your family sees what kind of person your sister is. Definitely take some time to yourself and try to do anything to get your mind off of this level of betrayal. This type of betrayal will stick with you for the remainder of your life, and I'm very sorry for that. Best of luck, OP. There is no misunderstanding. Your GF cheated on you, your GF lied about cheating, and your GF tried to twist things and make her the victim when you saw the messages. You're the only victim here. Your sister knew exactly how much what she did would hurt you, and she did it anyway. Your sister has massively betrayed your trust. They will try to twist things. Regardless of any excuse they give for what happened, there is no excuse or reason that would make acceptable. Shish. This is awful. Take care, buddy. Go have a walk or go to the gym. Man, that level of betrayal. Ex-girlfriend and what sister? Sisters don't do that. She's just the female child your parents had before you. That's all she is now. Make sure your parents and family know the truth before your sister paints a very different picture. Also, scorch earth your sister and ex-girlfriend. They don't deserve mercy. If it means outing them as lesbians, oh well. Actions have consequences. Cheaters and siblings who do stuff like this don't deserve any sympathy. My 19-year-old son just bought me a new phone, and I'ma cry. My phone broke 2 days ago. I'm 58F, retired, disabled, and on a fixed income, and thought I'd never be able to afford a new phone. He just surprised me with a new, refurbished Motorola Pure, and I love it. He's such a good boy, and I don't deserve him. Edit, for those who have asked, his father hasn't been in the picture for 8 years. He essentially abandoned us and is the reason I'm disabled. My son witnessed the abuse. I also have a 26-year-old daughter who is developmentally disabled and lives at home too. They are both just the greatest kids a mother could ask for. As a single mom, I often wondered if I was doing the right thing or making the right decisions with them. Looks like maybe I did okay. He is what he is partly because of you. You did a good job. Good kids don't come out of nowhere. You raised a fine young man. Such a great kid. My first language is Spanish, and there is a said El agradecimiento es la memoria de la corazón. I butchered that. Holy shit. The translation is something around gratitude is the heart's memory. He is grateful for everything you have done for him. I would have done the same thing for my mom or dad. Good job, stranger, and good job, mama or dad. Pass on the quality of empathy. There is no greater joy than seeing your child grow up to be a really good person. He grew up to be a great person because he takes after you. Such a lovely thing for your son to do, and you do deserve them. He's a boy that was raised right. Your son has a great heart. So happy for you. Single mom here. One day we had a significant power failure, and I lost all the food in my fridge freezer. I was pretty hard up at the time, and when the power was sorted, my 19-year-old son just turned up at the door with 2 bags of food. I feel like my best friend is attracted to my boyfriend. I, 27F, have been dating my boyfriend, 32M, for about 4 months. I noticed my best friend, 26F, has changed a lot ever since I introduced them, and I don't know what I should do. We have the same type, so it doesn't shock me if she finds him attractive, and that alone really doesn't bother me. However, I did start to notice her personality changing whenever me and my BF, hung out with or around her, like being more playful towards him and kind of more of a pick-me, for lack of a better word, but still didn't think much of it. I also noticed before she rarely ever wore makeup when we'd hang out. I don't wear much either. Whenever it's just us hanging out, she doesn't, but when he's there, she comes with a face full of makeup and an outfit you'd wear to a nice bar, even though we're just like in my backyard. Still, that's not what pushed me to write this post. This is where I feel like I might be crazy, so please give me some insight. After about a month of us dating, she and some of my friends requested to follow him on Instagram, and he followed back. Totally fine and normal. But since then, what she posts has been very different than what she usually does. She used to rarely post and probably has ever only posted 1 photo of herself since using Instagram until now. Now the last 4 photos she has on Instagram are photos of herself, very dressed up, very posed, definitely for likes. And now recently she started posting stories, public, not close friends, just fully in her underwear, like a selfie but no face, only panties, and tight white see-through shirt, no bra, laying on a bed. Only a mirror selfie in only a lace bralette, the strap down. It's so bizarre and unlike her that it's freaking me out. And I also don't really feel comfortable with my BF seeing these stories knowing the way she acts towards them. Just to be clear, my boyfriend has never been flirty back towards her, like those pics, etc., and he's acknowledged he does find her borderline flirty behavior towards him uncomfortable. I've not brought up their Instagram photos or anything. What do I do here? I don't really want to tell him to unfollow her. I don't really know if I should say anything to her or just distance myself. Such a weird situation to be in. Trust your gut. Just have your BF unfollow her and see if she notices and or stops posting those kinds of pics. If she asks why, have your BF say he didn't think it was right to see her in that way to see what she says. Your boyfriend should unfollow her on Instagram without saying anything. When she inevitably freaks out and asks why, he/you can say he felt uncomfortable with the kind of photos she was posting. It would be interesting to hear her reaction to that. She probably likes him. I'm a guy and so is my best friend, both 19. Neither of us have ever been remotely flirty with a girl that the other is dating or talking to. It all comes down to trust in the end. I don't know how this works with girls, but if guys are acting like this, then it's definitely flirting. If you want to keep the friendship, tell him to unfollow her and keep them separated. But if I'm honest, why do you want to be friends with a person like that? She sounds fake and exhausting. Like, why do you want to be on high alert with someone who thinks they're in competition with you for your own man? I just pissed myself. Sorry, I just pissed myself in public as a fully grown adult. I, 21F, have been driving for about 5 hours at this point and was close to my place. Since I was close, I stopped at the store that I had wanted to go to. It's like a little shopping area, like with a Burlington, TJ Maxx, etc. At this point, I've had to pee for like 45 minutes, and they would have had a restroom. They said no. So I tried to make it to the next store, and I was peeing more and more with every step, and I just couldn't hold it in. I peed myself like a lot in public. I'm pretty sure a mom and her son saw the whole thing, and some more people could have been in their cars. I'm so fucking embarrassed, and I've been crying since it happened. I haven't peed myself since I was 5. I'm mortified at someone seeing and recording me or something. I'm really just really embarrassed, and I want to crawl into a hole. Edit, thank you guys so much for the kind comments and your own stories. They made me realize I'm not alone. Definitely still a little bit traumatizing, but I'm able to at least chuckle with only a few tears in my eyes. I also told my good friend who helped me, then laughed at me, which also made me feel better. It happens a lot more than you think. Hopefully it'll be a funny story to tell my friends later when I'm not absolutely mortified. You will never see any of those people again. You're human. Humans pee. It's okay. I'm sorry this happened. I'm disabled, wheelchair user, and have no real control holding it. Stores are always saying no to me without buying something. There's an app I use called Toilet. Gives you information on public bathrooms. Well, it happens. No one recorded you peeing, and it'll be one of those things you think about sometimes and blush, but it was just a bunch of strangers who will never see you again. Hugs to you, OP. I've pooped myself in public before, like diarrhea poop, so I understand your embarrassment. I'm a 33M. I've shat myself twice in the last year. Never trust a fart because shit happens. I shat myself last year. I was headed home on the bus, and as soon as I got off the bus to start the walk home, it just came out. I didn't even have to poop beforehand. And of course, it was the one day I didn't take a hoodie to wrap around my waist. Lol, it was horrible. I absolutely understand your embarrassment, believe me. Haha, girly, I have one worse. I was stuck in a single lane traffic jam for over an hour, and at that point, I had to pee for about 30 minutes. The car next to me, in front of me, and behind me got a whole eye full of me peeing in a big gulp cup. Today's the day. I got to be married to the love of my life, the most wonderful, handsomest, funniest man the world has ever known, for 6 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day. As of today, I've been widowed for 6 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days. I've now officially held the title widow longer than I got to hold the title wife. I don't know how to feel about that. It's just so weird to think about. I just had to put it out there in the universe, and I don't really have anyone in real life talk about it. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Now I'm off to drink all day and binge some Star Trek. My heart is with you today, and mine also. Sending strength and peace. I'm very sorry for your loss. Definitely find a grief counselor for support if you can. Make it so. I'm so sorry for your loss. May you live long and prosper. I can't think of a better way to survive this day than copious amounts of alcohol in the company of Sir Patrick Stewart. Just make sure tomorrow you start off with a cup of Earl Grey. I removed a tick from my dog's neck and it killed her. This is from a long time ago. I was 21 and lived with my grandma for the year while attending college. We had a 4-year-old German Shepherd and we really loved each other. Every day I came home from school, I spent some time with her before going inside, gave her lots of pets, and removed any ticks, fleas, or weird stuff that I found on her before returning to my parents' home for summer break. I removed a bunch of ticks from her and didn't think much of it. 3 months later, when I come back, I noticed a big red abscess, like apple size. Told my aunt and grandma they had noticed it but did nothing. I pressured so we could take her to the vet and she got some pills, but the infection was too advanced. She died a few nights later. It's been 15 years and I still feel like shit for it. Now I know how to remove them safely, but I also wish I did more at the time to take care of her. Pressure to be quicker with the vet, to be more assertive like I am now and just take her on my own. I don't know, something. I feel like I betrayed her by not doing enough, and she ended up dying because I wasn't mature enough to go to my elders and take charge. Why blame yourself when you can blame the people who noticed and watched it grow over 3 months without doing anything? My guy, how could you have known? Don't be so hard on yourself. I bet the dog was happy with all the love it got from you. Your grandma and aunt are assholes. Bro, it's not your fault. You were trying to help your dog and make your dog more comfortable. When you left, it was their responsibility to make sure the dog was in good health. The second they noticed the infection, the dog should have been taken to the vet. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I know animals are family. I feel the same way. Please don't feel guilt over this. It was not your fault, and you were only trying to help. Not your fault and probably totally unrelated to you. You did nothing wrong here, OP. Your aunt and grandmother allowed this abscess to grow for 3 months. They're the closest people to blame other than the ticks themselves for the death of your dog. You did your best, and your relatives chose to let your dog die.
My aunt passed away from COVID a year ago. My Uncle Joe is going back to the Middle East to get married to a 19-year-old. I feel disgusted. His kids, my cousins, are in their early 30s. I'm in my late 30s. Joe has grandkids. I only heard about it while he asked his sister, my mom, for advice. Joe has not told his kids yet. Every time I see him, I'm disgusted. I don't know if I should tell his kids or not. My mom and dad say he needs a partner. If he wanted to get married, he can. On the other hand, the 19-year-old is clearly looking to get a better life here in the US, and I don't blame her for any of this. I just imagine if the tables were turned and he had died, would my aunt marry a 19-year-old? No, because there is a double standard at play here. I mean, we obviously don't know what your aunt would do, but I doubt a 19-year-old would be the first thought. Clearly, OP has never seen 90 Day Fiancé. Oh god, I mean, it would be hilarious if you did find out your uncle was actually just on the show 90 Day Fiancé after this. I've seen that a lot with widowers, my dad included. They cannot be alone. When my grandpa died, my grandma refused to even date. Not because she was so heartbroken by the loss, they actually had a difficult marriage, but because she said older men only want a nurse or a purse, and she wasn't going to be either of those things. She had just gotten some independence and autonomy back after 50 years of marriage and played nurse for the last few years of it, and she was not going to get back in the grind of caring for an old man who couldn't live alone. The timeline and her desire to live in the US is going to make this marriage a disaster. If you're up for it, strike up a friendship with her. Help her create a network of friends here in the US and help her build a solid foundation. When crap hits the fan, she'll be in better position to leave the marriage comfortable. That's really creepy. I feel like on the topic of problematic age gaps, I do think 50 and 19 is pretty yikes. Every time I cook dinner, I get a strong urge to leave my partner and move into a small apartment in the city. He always has some kind of complaint about the food, and I have to consider his picky tastes. It makes me want to move into a little apartment in a brick building and take my cat with me and cook whatever the F I want and decorate how I want and watch my stupid reality TV shows without him whining about it. I could have plants and tea lights and all that stupid basic stuff. Most of the time I'm totally fine, but I do enjoy my cooking daydreams. One time my ex-husband complained about the food I fixed and said, "I can't eat this. I'm going to McDonald's." Our children stood up and all of them left the table to go eat. I was left with cleaning up. I had made chicken, potatoes, green beans, and salad, and hot bread. Nothing was burned or ruined. I really got my feelings hurt. I mean, you can't blame the kids because of course they want McDonald's over a home-cooked meal. If I had someone cooking all of my meals, I'd be grateful AF. I had a partner like that. I left. Me too. Never again. Please come back. I'm very hungry. Sorry, Rim Greeper. You fumbled it. I don't know what else to say. I just cried in a stranger's arms. So it's been a very rough time for me lately. A lot has happened and I'm struggling very bad right now. Today I drove out to Sonic. There's none near me, closest one being an hour. I wanted to treat myself since I've only had it once before a couple years back, and also because, well, it's been rough lately. They messed up my order and didn't secure the lid on my shake. As I get onto the highway to go back home, the milkshake spills all over me and my car, but I couldn't do anything because I was on the highway. So I cried and drove back. I get to my boyfriend's house, not in my town, visiting for weekend, and I just opened my passenger door to clean it all and just started sobbing. A random lady yelled at me, "Hey honey, come here." Now it's 81 degrees at this point, and in her bare feet she walks on the road to get to me. She hugged me and told me to let it out, so I did. I told her how it's been hard lately and I broke my phone today, and I was so excited for the Sonic and now what had happened. She invited me inside. Her husband made me a milkshake and she and her 2 daughters helped me clean my car. She told me if I ever need a mom to come a couple houses down and she'll be there. Honestly, she and her entire family showed me pure generosity and kindness, and I've hardly experienced that in my life. She let me keep wipes and scent remover for my car. I feel okay now, just gotta wipe off my running mascara. Thank you, neighbor lady. I'm bringing you flowers next time I visit here. Now that is what humanity is all about. out. I'm sorry you're having such a hard time. This inspires me to be more like that nice neighbor lady. Aww, so nice of her and her family. There are great people out there. I didn't come from a happy family, and it's hard out here, especially now. Hang in there, OP. We're going to make it. So, how was his milkshake? Hang in there. It was vanilla and it was delicious. That's nice. Sometimes I think about the people I saw crying, but I didn't help them because I was afraid of their reaction. They might say to me, for example, "None of your business," or "Go away," and sometimes I'm afraid I don't deserve to help them because I'm not good at it. But I had a similar situation in the past. You can never forget these people even though you don't know them. My best friend died last week and I can't tell my wife because she'll dial her nagging up to 11. When my dad died, my wife shrieked at me the next day about how I didn't do the dishes well enough.
You're 34 years old. How the hell can you not know how to wash the dishes?
When my coworker and mentor died, my wife shrieked at me that night about a facial expression I made. Apparently I looked annoyed.
Well, I'm so sorry that I'm asking you to take out the garbage.
My best friend died last week and I have not told my wife. For some reason beyond my understanding, her typical high conflict personality goes into overdrive whenever I have reason to be sad, hurt, or upset. When personal tragedy strikes, she makes it about herself first and foremost, and then lashes out at me because on some visceral level, she realizes I'm at my most vulnerable. It's blood in the water for her. No idea what it is. No idea why she picks these times to immediately turn into the most horrible person she can be. But when I heard of my best friend's death, one of the first things I thought was, I'll have to hide how sad I am from my wife. That is just probably the worst situation I've heard. I really hope you're out of that. Dude, your marriage sounds miserable. I don't even think miserable's good enough to explain it. I feel sad that you're in this position, OP. I'm sorry that you lost your best friend. That's a terrible tragedy. I'm also sorry that you have nobody to support you at home. That you actually need to hide your pain because you'll be flogged for feeling it. Hugs from a random internet person. So surprised to see all these awards. Love the encouragement. Thank you. Oh, shut the fuck up. Honestly, it sounds like she looks for reasons to refocus the attention on her whenever something big happens to you. It's bordering on narcissism and it's not okay. Reading this and wondering how she's still your wife, TBH. Yeah, honestly, after she treated you like that when your dad passed away, that would have been the sign to tell her to kick rocks. If you feel like you can't tell your partner that your best friend died, maybe that person shouldn't be your partner. Mate, I'm really sorry for your loss. It's tough losing a friend. Cousin's gift ruined Christmas and possibly my relationship. I come from a big family. Our holidays involve extended family like second cousins, etc. My fiance and I are in our mid-20s and there are a lot of cousins in their 20s and 30s. Last night we had our big Christmas party. It was fun to see everyone until it was time to exchange presents. My cousin Anna, not her real name, hands out pink envelopes to all the 20s and 30s men who have married/dated into the family. My fiance received one and quickly put it in his pocket after opening it. I was distracted opening my gifts and didn't ask to look at it. After 20 minutes later, my cousin Rachel, again, not a real name, pulls me aside and says Anna is giving out cards with instructions on how to get a discount subscription to her OnlyFans. Rachel's boyfriend got one of the pink cards and showed Rachel because he was weirded out. I'm pissed at this point because I suspect my fiance's card also has an OnlyFans discount, so I asked to talk with him and he denies getting a card from Anna. I tell him, I saw her hand you one and I watched you put it in your pocket. I go to grab his pocket and he suddenly remembers getting a card but claims he didn't open it. I take it from him and of course it's already opened and of course it's about effing OnlyFans. I go back inside to confront Anna and find her already arguing with a different cousin who is upset because her husband has already tried looking at Anna's page. Anna claims she's just trying to get her business off the ground and no one appreciates all the hard work and skills it takes to be successful in a digital career. She says her gift is not sexual, it's just marketing. Some of the older relatives, aunts and uncles, are starting to take sides too, but they're mostly really confused about what's going on. Anna's mom started crying because of something I said, and my mom tried to get me to apologize, which pissed me off more. At this point, I leave with my brother and his husband because I don't want to spend the night with my fiance at home, and I don't feel like going with parents when my mom is pressuring me to apologize. Oh, and surprise, surprise, Anna didn't give my brother's husband a card, so make of that what you will about the intent behind her gift. gift. I'm seriously considering calling off the engagement over this, and I'm pissed at my cousin for ruining both Christmas and my relationship. I mean, like, I get needing to do marketing, but not to your family. Rachel's boyfriend is the true hero here. This is the Reddit version of "'Twas the night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, the silence was broken by clicks of the mouse. The page was up on the family living room TV. It was our beloved cousin and her large titties. Come Dancer, come Prancer, come Donner and Blitzen. All the male relatives were eyeing the OnlyFans vixen. The gift may have been a tad bit uncouth, but so was blasting the ASMR audio through Alexa's Bluetooth. Let us remember in good kindness and cheer not to invite cousin Anna to Christmas next year." That's actually so moving. Rachel's boyfriend is the absolute legend here. She needed a backhanded slap and to be kicked out of the Xmas party. Your cousin whose significant other showed her the card is a real keeper. Your significant other, not so much. Also, family that's backing the OnlyFans cousin are beyond help. They might be too old to understand what OF is. To older people who don't use the internet, digital marketing means little to them. I wouldn't write them all off. Stop giving your kids weird names. I have a unique first name that was made up by hippie parents. They literally made it up. They thought they were being original and new age, but they only made my life unnecessarily complicated. From the time I was old enough to say my name, I got weird looks and was embarrassed and shy when people laughed at my name. There was no good explanation either. They just thought it sounded cool. Every time I meet someone new, I have to have the same conversation and it's exhausting. Yes, it's a unique name. No, I don't know what it means. I'm glad you like it, but you only say that because you have a normal one. When I go to a restaurant or coffee shop, I give a made-up normal name to avoid the song and dance. So before you pat yourself on the back for that cute name you invented, just remember little Chinchilla, Uniqua, or Papillon will be an adult someday and have to live with it. Edit, removed a fairly normal name from the example. Edit 2, not giving my name because a Google image search literally pulls up my photo.
I know parents who thought it would be a good idea to name their child after their favorite video game character. I forgot the name, but it sounds like he's Gandalf's long-lost brother.
Please don't tell me it's Ganondorf. Oh my god, oh no, somebody named no!
LMFAO, please tell me your name is Flagstaff.
I wish, actually. It would be better. I don't want to put my name on here because I'm literally the only one in the world, so the Reddit sleuths will have no trouble finding me.
Yeah, it is probably for the best you don't dox yourself.
This reminds me of those multiple parents that named their babies Khaleesi. I bet that got even better after season 8. Just stick with the normal ones, I think. It's generally a safer option. Just go with a Steve, a John, a Brian. People name their children without the concept that they are naming adults. Anyone explained they aren't puppies yet? I have always thought that was strange for some parents to not really see the child as a person. It's more so property like a pet or an animal. When I was living in Taiwan, I've met people with names like Circle, Yellow, Happy, and Cute. Working in China, I taught kids named Hamburger and Robot. The first time I thought he said Robert, but he said, no, Robot. You know, like, and then did a little robot dance. Hamburger! Hamburger! Sorry, that's so unfortunate but so funny. I saw an article about a woman who named her child Any idea what that name is? Caitlin. K-V-I-I-I equals 8, Lynn. Creative, but cruel. People who try to do like smart math names, no, you're just a big nerd and you've ruined that child's life. Yes, my best friend's mom with a history of mental illness named her when her husband was out of the room at the hospital. She forged her husband a name on the birth certificate. My friend's name on the birth certificate is a fruity tropical drink that a lot of people love. She is a magical, amazing person and she fits her name, but she hates how she got it and sometimes at Starbucks, she goes by the name Susan on her drinks. Daiquiri. I mean, that's not a terrible name if Daiquiri is their name. I really don't understand how people can seriously think they're this much of the main character. I was coming back into the office building after going out for a late lunch and I pressed the level of my floor. Some girl gets in right after me, so I go, "What floor?" She looks at me for no longer than a second, rolls her eyes, lets out the slightest scoff, presses the level of her floor, and immediately goes in the corner of the elevator and pulls out her phone as an obvious attempt to set up a social barrier. Like, I wasn't f***ing hitting on you. Trust me, asking what floor is nothing special. Whoa, got a little aggressive at the end there, but I guess I kinda get it. Bus driver here. Once I was going to get a haircut on my free day. However, the hair salon is right next to the bus station, so I thought I would just go over and greet my fellow work colleagues. However, when I went there, one of the bus drivers wasn't checked in for some unknown reason, and there was no available bus driver around as they all had a bus already. So I said I can drive it while they find a new man for it. The bus was already 20 minutes behind schedule, and if it reaches over 30 minutes, it will get canceled. So I started to drive to make sure people could get home. When I picked up people from the different bus stops, nearly all of them had some rude comments toward me. You late. Young people don't care about uniforms those days, etc. And I just thought to myself, so much for helping others. And I missed my appointment with the hair salon. I'll just never understand where people get off like complaining or just being rude to the person who is helping you get where you need to go. I was at the mall a few years back and saw a girl walk out of the bathroom with her skirt tucked into her pantyhose in the back. Thank God she had underwear on, but I go, "Excuse me, miss?" And she turns around and gave me the evilest look and says, "What do you want?" in the nastiest way possible. I said, "Well, F you then," and watched everyone stare at her. Not a single person in earshot of that conversation said a word to her. Now that is some good karma, I think. I was out at the mall with my girlfriend at the time, and we wanted a picture, so I flagged down a random younger girl since it looked like she'd know how to take a good picture on a phone. She immediately puts her hand up in disgust, laughing and shaking her head. She says, "No thanks, I'm not interested." She didn't even listen to a word of the question I asked. I was dumbfounded. I said, "Me neither, we just wanted a picture," and pointed to my girlfriend. I've never seen someone die inside so quickly. That's when you press all the elevator buttons up to her floor. They do have a point. I mean, that would have shown her. Please leave us alone in video games. Sincerely, a woman who just wants to use voice chat freely. I'm so sick and tired of how so many people feel like it's okay to be creepy or just plain rude to women in video games based on our gender alone. It feels like every game I play, I have to judge the situation and try to figure out if the people in my game are going to be weird or sexist towards me if I use comms and identify myself as a woman because of my voice. Text chat isn't fast enough for split-second calls. Communication is so important in games, and I'm just trying to help the team by using comms. Instead, it just seems to provide people with the opportunity to make a sweeping generalization of my skill at a game and conclude that I'm unskilled based on something I literally can't control. Or simply be creepy and flirty, which is often worse. Just treat us like any other player. It will benefit everyone involved. Thank you. As a resident Valorant player, I'm so sorry to every woman out there. Like, I don't know why people are like that. They just are. Disgusting humans. This, indeed. Also, maybe also when women/girls have girly names. Just thirsty gamers around them. You really a girl? Dude, I'm just slaying chickens to sell the eggs, meat, and feathers. Leave me be. I agree. Not a woman, but I've always avoided voice chat in any game just because I feel far too nervous, and yeah, people my age will make fun of women for being women, which is stupid. A couple years back in Ark, I came across someone and they gifted me stuff and offered to build a base with me. We did, and I got invited to a party, only to realize I was speaking to a 50-plus-year-old mother. Many would have laughed and left, but we played for months. It was great. Let's just make a quick PSA. If you hear a woman in your video game and your instinct is to be creepy or sexist or just generally an awful person, you have zero riz and you will probably die alone. I agree. Lonely gamers can be exceptionally desperate. R/girl gamers. My husband plays most games as a female avatar and gets this treatment from players he has never spoken to. It's disturbing. I can be in game with him confirming that he is a man, but men will treat him this way regardless. He took a 4-year break from RuneScape, and when he logged back on, the same dude that used to bother him popped up and started harassing him again. It is absolutely disturbing. All this because my husband likes to put his avatar in fun costumes, and the men believe only girls take the time to do that. The most tragic part about that is that the man couldn't play RuneScape for 4 years. I've never heard even a single girl speak in a game I was playing, and I've always wondered whether that's because they're actually that rare or because they just never end up feeling comfortable speaking when I'm in a game with one. It's absolutely the second one. Yeah, brother, girls just don't feel safe around a lot of men in games, so that's probably it. My girlfriend, 27 27 female, did the sweetest thing for my brother, 9, and now I know she's the one. My parents moved him to another school towards the end of the school year, and he had trouble making friends. He still invited his whole class to his birthday party that was on Friday, but nobody came. None of the kids. It was really heartbreaking seeing all the empty tables when he was really looking forward to it. My girlfriend of 4 years decided to call her brothers, asking them to come over. Then she took off to go pick up her nephews. They're a little older, but they were still really nice to my brother. She called up her friends with kids. It wasn't a ton of people, but it was way more than before. All thanks to her. My little brother was so happy playing in the jumper with her nephews and brothers. They were all playing wrestling with him. He had such a good time. It was nice that everyone came and was being so nice to him, but I'm also just super grateful to my girlfriend because she made it happen. I was watching her that whole time going, wow, I want to marry this woman. She's the one for me. Now I'm literally browsing online for engagement rings. Aw, that's actually really sweet. That's awesome. Your little brother was playing with his future family. I love this. Gave me all the feels. I wish you the best life ever. Make sure you have her back, my bro. Good women can greatly improve every aspect of your life. He does have a point, but it is not a one-way street. It is two, so definitely take care of your girl too. As someone who recently had his 5-year-old not have anyone show up to his birthday party and saw him get crushed, like everyone flaked out, yeah, she not just pulled off something amazing, but may have made a life-changing difference. Now, how are you going to learn what her ring size is, brother? Word of advice, advertisement algorithms latch on to things like wedding rings and hold on for dear life. Use incognito mode when doing searches. I didn't think of it, and immediately afterward, every single targeted ad in all my apps were all about wedding rings, and I was so afraid my girlfriend would see before I had the chance to pop the question. That's actually kind of good advice. I forgot how weirdly predatory algorithms have gotten, so yeah, be careful. Keep her close. Like my friends told me when they met my girlfriend, now wife of 27 years. Don't F it up. She's a good one. I finally talked to my mother about taking my hijab off. I wanted to do this for years, and finally today, I have found the courage to do it. I told my mom that I wear hijab only because I wanted to make her happy, and I actually never wanted it. It made me hate my appearance from the beginning. I have received a completely shocking reaction, to be honest. My mother is really religious, and she really cares about practices of Islam. I always hesitated because I thought she would be so mad and disappointed. I even thought she would reject me as her child. But to my surprise, she was so understanding. She said she was aware that I started wearing hijab too early. I was 11 and a half years old, and she shouldn't have pressured me to wear hijab no matter the age. She said she was suspecting it and always knew it bothered me. She said she's completely okay with taking it off because she always regretted that she allowed me to wear hijab at such a young age. I really wasn't expecting that reaction. I thought our relationship would come to an end and I would lose her. I am really happy and I just wanted to share. That's really sweet. I'm glad that happened for you, and I'm so sorry if I was saying that word wrong. That's lovely. I remember at 18 I wanted to stop going to church, but didn't want to disappoint my mom, so started working on a Sunday instead. Like that was somehow easier than asking her, LOL. I'm sure she also sees it as a sign of respect that you were willing to wear it for her, but guilty because it's not what you want. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is how you mom. Honestly, yeah, that's big respect to the mom for not losing it on them just because they didn't want to wear it. Moms know everything. Sounds like you have a great mom. Cherish her. Hijab doesn't define you. I'm sure you are religious and raised well. Your mom knows this. She absolutely does. We both cried while having this conversation. Please stop calling me a creep. I hate this. Ever since high school, girls would call me a creep or that I'm creepy or say ew about me for pretty much no reason at all. I get it. I might not be the most handsome guy in the room, but stop calling me creepy when I'm literally just minding my own business and not even paying any attention to you. I'm sitting there alone eating my lunch and daydreaming. In another language, this creep keeps looking at me. Or being told by friends some girls talked about me being creepy, which caught me off guard because I was just having fun with my friends and having a good time. I didn't even look at or make contact with girls in that moment, and yet I'm a creep? How? I did literally nothing. I can understand not being attractive, but please stop calling guys creeps for no reason. There could be a girl whose existence is not even known to me, and they would call me a creep. I hate it. Also, don't say
ew to somebody unless they are actually a disgusting person, please. I don't deserve that. I'm just trying to live my life and go about my day. I almost avoid interacting with girls now because of this. Thanks. I'm very unattractive, and when someone calls me that or says ew, I ignore them because they are a-holes who judge people by their looks, which is very rude. Don't let them call you that. And also, have a nice day, man. I used to have a friend who would come talk to me at my locker as I packed up after school. I was slow, so the hallway was usually empty before, during, and after I was there. And it was obvious my friend was there to chat with me. And then one day during class, he gets called to the office and returns and tells me he can't visit me at my locker anymore because another girl claimed she felt stalked by him. Very confused about that still. I had this happen at college. Some girl had a full-on crying freakout/fit because I was standing in the hallway waiting for my class and she thought I was creepy. I don't think I even looked at her. I'm just glad her boyfriend or some white knight didn't attack me because I was waiting for my class. I am kinda ugly, but damn. I'm sure you look fine. Why? You don't have to put yourself down. Nobody's really ugly, you know? DoorDash drivers park near busy restaurants. They have favorite places to park to get orders. This girl that worked in a restaurant called the cops because she said a guy parked by her car every day and didn't get out of the car. She thought he was stalking her. The cop came and he told them he was a DoorDash driver and didn't even know the girl. The cops asked him to park somewhere else anyways. That is a little bit blown out of proportion, but at the same time, he could have just moved his car a couple spaces away. Probably would have been fine. It was me all along. So I recently ordered an expensive computer monitor online. When it finally arrived, I was stoked and immediately set it up. I turned it on, color calibrated it, and everything, and after a few hours of fiddling with the settings, I finally was completely happy. I sit down to try out some games to see how they look on the new screen with the new calibrations, and once a complete white loading screen pops up, I see something extremely scary. There was a big, slightly yellow/brownish spot on the screen that I hadn't noticed until the screen was completely white. I tried everything and could only notice it when the screen was bright white or gray, but on all other colors, it wasn't possible to see at all. I spent days trying to figure it out, and then I called the place I ordered it from to tell them about the problem. While on the phone with them, I moved my head back and forth and realized that I couldn't see the yellowish spot on either side at all. I continue moving my head and realize the spot changes on the screen when I move my head. I move in closer and the spot gets even bigger, and it was in this moment I realized it was just my face being reflected in the screen when it was completely white and bright. Thank you for listening. That had to be a very embarrassing phone call to end because you realized it midway and you're like, actually, I think everything's good. Bye. I was on the edge of my seat through the whole story. Bravo. This is funny. The other day I was watching Netflix on my phone and got really upset because I couldn't find my phone. I kept looking for it around my room the whole while watching a streaming show on it. After 5 minutes, it occurred to me I was an idiot. Look, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes you're just in autopilot. Towards the end, I thought you had some sort of serious eye problem like cataracts, IDK, or something, LMAO. You absolute bellend.
What does bellend mean? Sounds like a cool insult.
It refers to the glands or tip of the male organ. Which organ? Men have quite a few of those, and women too. My husband admitted to his friend that he didn't find me beautiful. Nothing feels the same anymore. I'm newly married. After our honeymoon, my husband had a group video call with his best friends. After I said hello and chatted for a bit with them, I excused myself to go for a walk. I decided I needed to get my raincoat because it looked like it was about to rain, but my husband and his friends thought I've already got out. They started interrogation about our honeymoon, and they were all teasing and laughing until one of his best friends asked him if my looks were still an issue for him. My husband told her that he loved me and that we had a great honeymoon and that I'm beautiful on the inside, and he said, "You can't have it all." She insisted on wondering whether he felt he downgraded from his ex-girlfriend, and he said, "Maybe, but she, me, makes me happy." Another friend then interjected and said I wasn't bad looking if I lost some weight. My husband agreed. Nothing feels the same anymore. I always knew I wasn't beautiful, but I thought that he liked how I looked, or at least didn't mind it so much. I know he values my other qualities and that he loves me and is very kind to me, but I don't feel good with him. him, and I haven't been happy since that day, 5 weeks ago. I have lost weight under these weeks, and he's paid a lot of compliments about that, but I don't want him commenting anything about my physical appearance anymore. I hate every encouraging word he has to say, and yet I feel like I need to be more appealing to him. I feel so much hurt, it's insane. Am I the only one who gets a very bad impression of the female friend who keeps insisting on wondering whether he felt he'd downgraded from his ex-girlfriend? It feels very odd that she was the one to bring up your looks in the first place, as well as to bring up his past relationship and compare it to the woman he chose to spend the rest of his life with. Just a thought. Homewrecker red flags from that one. Yeah, that's very just weird behavior in general. Don't do that if you're somebody's friend. You should tell him what you heard. Don't shoulder this hurt alone. He should feel bad too. At the end of the day, honesty is key, so at least try to bring it up. I would never feel comfortable being around those people again after that. I am so sorry for you. I really feel you. Been in a very similar situation. There is not much I can suggest, but you should do everything that makes you feel beautiful. At the end of the day, your opinion is the only one that's important. Did you leave? Yes, that's my plan now, to love myself and my appearance enough for both of us. No, I didn't. At the end of the day, I love him and he loves me. We have a good marriage. I know I will never be beautiful or have a good-looking, healthy, and skinny body, but I prefer beauty on the inside anyway. Talk to him about this. See what happens. I'm not married, but I've been with significant other for coming on to 4 years. I can't imagine not speaking about something like this, especially for 5 weeks. I was a bit embarrassed, TBH, and since I didn't make my presence known for them, it felt like eavesdropping, and I was embarrassed even more. Girl, the only way you'll be able to move past this is if you tell your husband everything you feel. Stop acting shy. Stop throwing yourself a pity party. Communication is the key to either healing a wound or finding the best solution to a problem. Good luck! P.S. Tell your husband he's not exactly Chris Hemsworth either. I pretend I'm an influencer, so I'll do basic chores. For the past 3 months, I've been pretending to be an influencer. I tend to go through serious bouts of depression. I won't shower or eat. I just lay in bed and rot. However, I've recently discovered that if I record myself and pretend I'm talking to an audience, I'm able to motivate myself to get ready and go to work. This also goes for my chores. I'll do a time-lapse video of myself doing the dishes, laundry, and everything else that I'll need to do. I don't post these videos anywhere, and I don't show these videos to anyone. They're just really fun to look back on, and it makes me happy to see that I've accomplished things while feeling this crappy about life. You know, I wasn't fully on board at the start there, but it's fine. That seems wholesome enough. Whatever gets you going, gets you going. You can't really stop it. This is brilliant! I used to wear a tiara with little shiny crystals on it when I did housework. I didn't know where it went. Maybe I should get another one. I'm currently laying in bed, rotting away with depression. This is a great idea. I'll have to try this. Thanks for sharing. One of the most effective ways to be, well, effective is to put on a mask. Your mask is an influencer. Glad it works for you. Keep it up.
I want to do this too.
Well, have no fear. You can. Just start recording yourself and be sure you don't accidentally upload it. Unless you want to. I mean, it's up to you. I do this too. Pretend I'm doing a tutorial or explaining a day in my life, etc., etc. You are body doubling. It's super helpful. I'm gonna have to Google what body doubling means because I have no idea. When I was a kid, I would pretend to be Cinderella working to go to the ball. It at least made cleaning my room more fun. I don't know if Cinderella in that phase of her life is the best example to use, but I mean, if whatever works, whatever works. I get up at 3 a.m. every weekday to work out on the beach. This morning, I couldn't. I had to stop, sit, and witness a miracle. I've been on an unstoppable weight loss journey this year. I work a demanding healthcare job, so working out at 3 a.m. is the only time that works for me. I was super excited this morning after weighing myself because I've officially lost 38 pounds since February. I put on my weighted vest and hit the beach with renewed motivation. About a mile into my slog over the sand dunes, I came across a fresh sea turtle trail. Very common this time of year, so I smiled and did my little personal tradition of hopping over it. Except I noted that there was no exit trail. Usually you see a trail where mama came out of the ocean, found a spot to nest, and then crawled back to the ocean. Sometimes they leave the same way, but there's usually at least a trail where they turned around. The moon was bright enough that I saw her dark outline against the white sand. I've been walking my beach for 5 years, and I have never seen a nesting mother. I've seen 2 hatchlings on the beach and 1 adult foraging on the reef while I was snorkeling, but never a nesting mother. They are always done before I wake up. My motivation to exercise was gone. I just sat down and watched her silhouette silhouette in the moonlight. She was enormous, at least 3 feet long and God knows how heavy. She moved so slowly. The sheer effort of the nesting process must have been more difficult than anything I've ever done in my life. Running over sand dunes in my weight vest suddenly seemed like a paltry effort in comparison. The reason I'm sharing on this sub is because my old phone couldn't take a picture, even in bright moonlight, without a flash that would have startled the mother. In the age of pictures or it didn't happen, I just had to tell someone about my spiritual experience. IMHO, the point of working out is to have a better and happier life. Can't imagine the benefit of one day of exercising would outweigh the lifelong memory of this. You made the right call. That's the universe rewarding you for your dedication. That's a pretty sweet reward. I wish the universe would give me something kind of cool like that. A moment made just for you and that mama turtle, and you share it with us? Thank you. And congrats on your weight loss. Hashtag beast mode. I felt disgusting saying that last... don't fret over not having a video. Your description was rich enough and my imagination filled in the details. Sometimes the story is better than a picture, especially for setting the context and your emotional reaction. My 6'4" fiance is the little spoon every night. My fiance is the little spoon. He goes to work every day to pay the mortgage for the home he bought for us to start our lives and our family in while I go to school. He takes out the trash on the cold, rainy nights so I can stay warm and dry. He is always there when I start to cry to hold and comfort me, but he hides his tears because he's not supposed to cry. He grew up in a very traditional household with very strict gender roles, and he has had a hard time expressing his stresses and anxieties. In the last 6 months, we have moved out, bought a house, and planned a wedding at 20 years old. At night, we get in bed, and I've found the only way I can truly comfort him is by holding him and not asking questions until he's ready to talk about things. Take emotional care of the men in your life. They take care of you in a lot of ways. Aw, that's actually really sweet. I want to be the little spoon. Wow, this is truly beautiful. I really wish you and your fiancé a long and happy marriage. Male here. I love being the little spoon. Everybody needs to be held sometimes, and gosh dang it, I love being held. You're a great partner for supporting your partner the way you do. I've been with my lady for almost 20 years, and I'm totally the little spoon, LOL. Sometimes I don't want to be the big bad man anymore. Thank you for being a wholesome rock for your hunk of love. I'm crying. I'm Big Spoon too, to the hairiest man I've ever known. It's comforting for the both of us. I loved reading this. I am 4'11". My husband is 6'3", and I love spooning him. I feel like an emotionally supportive backpack. Oh.
Me, 24F, have been dating my boyfriend Andrew, 26M, for 5 years now. We've had a healthy and stable relationship up until today. Andrew has always been a prankster and make jokes with me all the time, and I did it to him too, but today he took it way too far. In the morning, he woke me up at 7 a.m. and told me to wake up because he wanted to take me to the spa. I was pretty surprised because it wasn't a special day or anything, but I was all in for it. At the spa, he told me how he wanted to go to a fancy restaurant after we were done at the spa and that he was paying. Of course, I agreed as we hadn't been out together in a long time. We then got to the restaurant, we had a beautiful and romantic dinner and just a nice time in general. We were talking about a house we were planning to move into and chit-chatted about other stuff too. After about 40 minutes, Andrew stood up and got on his knees and took out a box out of his pocket. My heart stopped beating. I hadn't even predicted this. We have never talked about proposal before, but I also thought it was a great time now. He did a speech about how I was the most beautiful girl in the world and how he wanted to live with me forever and ended with, "Will you marry me, my princess?" Of course I said yes. Seconds later, all that excitement turned into horror. He opened the small box. I expected he put the ring in, and it was a note saying, "You've been pranked." And Andrew started laughing hysterically. He continued with, "Baby, this was just a prank. I'm not ready at all to marry you yet." He was leaning in to hug me, but I gave him the biggest slap ever with tears streaming down my face. I just told him, "We're over, you frickin' scumbag." I'm now sitting in my bed, crying and writing this, and I don't know what to do. He's been texting and calling me, but I haven't responded because I feel so sad, betrayed, and mostly angry. I thought this was gonna be one of the best days of my life. What should I do? Old boy took it too far. It's hard to come back from that sort of disrespect. I think you would be best not seeing him anymore. He lied to you and tricked you, and now he can deal with that fallout. What do you mean, what should I do? You announced that you have big news. You and Andrew are finally ready to let everyone know that the relationship was just a prank. You're actually single. Then go date someone else who actually cares about you. That relationship was over when he woke you up for that spa day. That was mean and not funny. You have a right to be angry. Find a man who believes marriage is serious and not a joke. You're wonderful and don't let this affect that. People who enjoy hurting and humiliating their partners are vile. You made the right choice. It's better for people to wonder why you're single than for them to wonder why you're with him. Caught off a creep by being gross. Yesterday, I was shopping together with my toddler. Toddler was in a buggy and I was browsing along the aisle and just did some regular shopping. Then I noticed that a man was following us, casually getting too close and conveniently always browsing the same aisle as me. This went on for some time, and when I stood in front of the ladies' hygiene products, he was still behind me. I'm pretty sure a man in his 60s had no business there, but he was still standing there behind me, too close to be comfortable. I did not want to confront him for creeping up on me with my toddler present, so I did the only right thing that came to mind. I farted. It was a quiet, sneaky one, but oh boy, it stank. It was nasty. Creepy guy left me alone after that. This reminds me of those nature documentaries narrated by someone with an Australian accent. The human female is being stalked by a potential suitor. In an act of defiance, she lets out a noxious gas from her hindquarters to dissuade the human male eager to mate from further approach. The human male scurries away and will have to find another potential mate to pursue. The female, relieved, continues to forage for food with her young in tow. Silent gas attack for the win. Good one to remember for future creepers. Oh shoot, you went the World War I route. All's fair in love and biological warfare. You'll love to see it. You've learned from the noble skunk. Ejecting weird smells out of your body is an excellent way to deter predators. Snobby rich kid turned out to be the coolest person I've ever worked for. Okay, so throwaway. I, 30M, have a small moving company. My brother and I started the company and we have 2 employees. We had a job to move everything from this kid's apartment to his brand new house. I guess he's some kind of finance executive or whatever, but he was 22. We all got a cup of coffee and prepared for what we thought would be the worst client we'll ever have to deal with. So we knocked on the door of the apartment and a lady answered with the baby and said, "Oh, you must be the movers. My boyfriend is over at the house. I'll be out of your way." And went into what I thought was a baby room and shut the door. Strangers in the house, I get it. So we stayed away from her. So we loaded up the first truck and went to the address to see a rented pickup and a white Mercedes. I even laughed to my employee and said, "You ready?" Well, he answered the door and had cold Gatorades and snacks for us. He didn't even ask if we needed help. Bro just jumped into the truck and helped us carry stuff. So when the second truck came, my brother and other employee had the same surprise to see this kid was actually pretty cool. Next, it was like 1 and he said, "Hey, are you guys hungry?" And I said, "Yeah, we'll take a lunch if that's all right with you." And he said, "Oh, no. It's on me. What are you guys in the mood for?" We said anything is fine and thanked him, and he ended up ordering from this Thai place. It was good. My brother later was carrying in this chair and he said, "I actually don't think I need that." And he ended up giving it to one of the employees. So after the job, we were all like, man, he was actually a super nice guy. Today, about 4 days later, what made me make this post, I grabbed the mail and he wrote us a thank you letter and 4 gift cards, one for all of the employees to a local steakhouse. Lesson to myself, don't judge a book by its cover. Wow, that warmed my heart. What a good soul. That fact that he even took time to write a letter. Wow. One of those moments where you go, okay, I see why this guy is so successful at such a young age. It's an efficient investment to be nice to the moving guys. Happy moving guys will not as willingly damage your stuff. What made him a snobby rich kid in the first place? Finance executive at 22 reeks of nepotism. People who get everything handed to them tend to be entitled. This is just a case of OP judging a book by its cover. Clearly, the guy was raised right. TikTok is a cancer to society. To the 2 teenage girls that filmed a TikTok of me at Walmart, I hope you're happy. I was trying on a cardigan in front of a mirror. As I was taking it off, you both called out to me because I had my back to you. You made a comment to me and walked directly up to me. When I fully turned around, one of you had your phone aimed at me and yelled to the other girl, "Dance." Then she proceeded to do a TikTok dance in front of me, laughing at me as you ran off after. I knew I didn't look my best. I was slumming it at 11 p.m. Although not fully unclothed, I was still in the middle of changing. I didn't want to be filmed. You did this to a few other people, including a store worker who was worried afterwards about losing her job due to the footage. You have hurt multiple people tonight, and you have no idea what people are going through. I am still bleeding after my 5th miscarriage. I couldn't get up to leave the house for days. I had to pick up an online order at the store, so I forced myself to get up and out of the house tonight. I decided to take a look at clothes while I was there and maybe buy myself something to make me feel better. For some people, existing can be a struggle. I hope you're happy, and I hope your imaginary clout was worth it. Edit to clarify, I was not fully changed or getting undressed. I put a cardigan on top of my clothes, but I was in the act of removing the cardigan, which made it look like I was undressing on camera. Also, I would normally use the dressing room anyway, but they closed those rooms at specific hours. I was there late and not long before closing time. I wasn't even there originally for clothes, but decided to stop there to see if getting something would lift up my mood. Apparently, this is a TikTok trend to dance in front of unsuspecting people at stores. Look it up and you'll see a lot of uncomfortable people. People who do this have been getting sued more now. If you have a chance, ever see the video, save it if you want / can pursue it. People have been able to sue for emotional damages and harassment. I just want to wrap you up in a big, massive, humongous blanket and hug you. I'm so sorry for your losses and the emotional hit this stupidity laid out on you. If you didn't treat yourself to something, try to go back tonight and have another look. You deserve all the treats. I hate how there's no more privacy. Social media has made it so easy for people to post videos of random people with no repercussions. I'm sorry this happened to you. Social media, not just TikTok, has given us the ability to record at will. It's so obnoxious and hurtful and invasive and selfish. Here's hoping they learn to do better as they and their brains mature. Teens especially are crazy by design. They have some independence and the ability to do stupid stuff, but their brains haven't fully developed, so they're not thinking in a way that would stop a lot of this stuff from ever happening. Some people grow out of this level of selfishness, but for some it becomes a lifestyle. It's pretty ducking awful, and I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you're feeling better. Please take care. 10 years ago, I gave dating advice to an incel and I still think about him. So this happened when I, now 30F, was in college on OKC. I was messaged by an incel looking guy. In his PFP, he wore a fedora, had a beard, was overweight, etc. His opening message was something along the lines of, "I know there's no way you'd ever be into me, but you seem really cool." I knew I wasn't interested in him romantically, but I checked out his profile because I was also looking for friends and wanted to see what we had in common. What I saw on his page broke my heart. Just paragraphs of him saying self-deprecating things about how he's lame or ugly or a loser that no one would want to date. He was practically apologizing for existing. I think what hurt the most was knowing a lot of what he wrote down was probably said to him in the past. And as someone who's been bullied before and also had self-confidence issues, I couldn't turn a blind eye. I replied to him and told him politely I'm not interested in dating him, but asked if I can give him some advice for his profile. He agreed to hear me out, and I began typing away. I think I spent a solid 15 or 30 minutes writing my reply. I explained that if you write paragraphs about how much you think you suck and aren't fun to date, people will believe you and not give you a chance. I said he should try to talk more about his interests and what he likes to do so that he's more likely to appeal to someone with the same interests and hobbies as him. I emphasized that he should try and put his best foot forward and talk more open about his good qualities, being a good friend or a good listener or open-minded, etc. Once I clicked send, I waited for his response with bated breath. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of, "Honestly, I was expecting you to tear me apart and make fun of me, but this sounds genuinely helpful. Thank you." We wished each other luck and never spoke again. It's been over 10 years since that exchange happened, and I frequently wonder what happened to him. I've been thinking about him a lot more since the rise of Alpha Bro podcast and the manosphere. I want to believe he tried working on his self-confidence issues and was able to move forward, but I also know that people online are mean. There was definitely a culture of making fun of people in fedoras with neck beards, and even if they weren't pulling the "m'lady" stuff. I know that even if he's on Reddit, the odds of him finding this post are slim to none, but if you're a guy who wore a fedora in Maryland or DC 10 years ago and got online dating advice from a lady who was an art major, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're doing better. I hope you learned to love more about yourself, and I hope you found love too. Edit, I want to clarify that incel meant something different 10 years ago. Back then, it was mostly referred to involuntary celibate men who were overall harmless. They were either sad or at most bitter about their lack of dating lives. Now, incel groups have evolved into something way more heinous, adding this clarification because they don't want to make this guy sound like something he wasn't. He really seemed like a guy who didn't realize his own self-loathing was pushing people away. Hey, that was wonderful of you to give him constructive help. Believe me, as much as you think that, I'm sure he thinks of it more. Honestly, a lot of these guys aren't too far gone. What they need to do is just to manage their expectations. Sometimes a girl just doesn't enjoy texting you, or she's not interested in anything romantic. Having more friends is not a bad thing. That's fine. Be graceful and move on. Jesus Christ, you're a good person. Sadly, a lot of these people who become so hateful usually start out as lads with maybe slightly too idealized expectations. Often in their teenage years, they get rejected in a cruel way, and a lot of them get bullied by the person they rejected or friends of them. People apparently decided that incels are pieces of crap and despicable people. I guess some of them are. The others are just by definition rejected people, therefore in pain. It's nice what you did. The huge majority of people would have just ghosted him. I cried at the gym today. I, 19M, started going to the gym when I was about 15, and I really enjoyed it. I got super fit and loved to work out, but at 17 I got diagnosed with leukemia and had to stop going for a while. I lost my hair, tons of muscle, and my confidence completely plummeted. I'm now 19 and almost done with my treatment. About 5 months ago, I decided I was well enough to get back into the gym, so I did. After about a month of being at the gym again, I met some super cool guys who kind of took me under their wing. I'll call them J, B, and R, their first initials. They give me tips, help with some form, and are constantly trying to help me get better. Not only do these guys help me physically, they help me mentally. They encourage me to seek therapy for issues I have dealt with in the past and are always checking in on me. We've all become so close. They're just some of my best friends. Now to today. We were all at the gym just doing our usual leg day when a guy I've never met shows up. I'll call him M. Turns out Jay knew this guy from high school and they began chatting. Jay then invited this guy to come work out with us. I didn't pay much attention to the guy because I was just focusing on my workout, but I chatted with him for a bit and he seemed like a nice dude. Everyone finished their workout before I did, so they all went back to the locker room to grab their stuff. I was almost done, so I told him I'd be a minute and then we could leave. Me, Jay, B, and R all drove together, by the way. So as I'm heading into the locker room, I hear them talking. At first, all I heard was M. He was saying stuff about my weight and how skinny I was. Then he was going on about my hair and how I look like a sick kid from the St. Jude commercials. I was really shocked and hurt. I could literally feel any bit of confidence I had built back up being ripped down. But what had happened next is what made me cry. Once M stopped talking, J, B, and R completely went off on him. I've never had someone stand up for me the way they did. M was completely taken aback and just stormed off. I'm even tearing up right now just writing this. I love those guys so much. It feels amazing to know there's people who have my back and truly care about me. Hey, good for you, buddy. I expected this post to be super depressing, but to my surprise, it made me smile. It's a sad person that has to make other people feel small to make themselves feel big. Man, I was going to be extremely shocked if some encouraging gym bros joined in and made fun of you as I read this. Glad to see you made some good friends. Don't take it hard. Your body is going to continue to recover and you'll be unrecognizable from your current form in no time. Keep your head up. You got good gym bros. I hope you fully recover and stay cancer free. Here's to your health. W Gym Bros. You should tell those MFs you heard them stand up for you and that you love them. Those are forever homies right there. You know why I like being with you? You're pretty, but not pretty enough to flirt with. My BFF GF said this to me a couple of hours ago, and it's supposed to be a compliment. We went to the gas station and went inside to pay for gas. Nothing happened except for me paying for gas and us going home. We were sitting watching TV, and he said this. I asked him what he meant, and he said that from being around me when there were other guys around, that he noticed that I didn't get hit on. He said that this was the first relationship that he didn't feel scared that his GF might cheat because men don't approach me. He said that this was the first relationship he also didn't feel jealous, and he was relieved because of that. He was relieved because it seems like men ignore me for the most part when I'm with you, and you never talk about being approached at all. Is that not a freaking insult? Like, am I going insane? You know what? I'm just venting. I feel like if I say this to other people to ask their perspectives, I'll come off as insecure. However, it's bothering me, and I'm just not perceiving what he said as a compliment at all, and I don't know why. Edit. I thought about just doing all the brilliant examples offered, but instead I honestly just asked for space for a couple of days because I was confused. He panicked, don't know why he panicked, and when I wouldn't respond because I asked for space, he basically admitted to negging me. I had to Google what this was. So now he's dumped, and I provide him a link to this post. Chris, you're an idiot. Of course it isn't a compliment. He basically said, you know why I like being with you? You're attractive enough for me to want to sleep with you, but you're not pretty enough to trigger my feelings of jealousy. Thanks for not being hot enough that I'm forced to work on my personal insecurities. Not only was it not a compliment, it's a further insult than he thinks. Either you're not smart enough to understand, or that he can manipulate you into agreeing with him. I'm sure you're lovely, OP, but your boyfriend's a rude troll. Never let your next BF ever convince you that you're anything less than stunning in his eyes. He's seeing what kind of hits you'll tolerate. This one's trash, throw him out. I've always taken it as a compliment when other men hit on my girl. I think your guy's insecure. Confident men don't worry about their girl cheating because they trust them. It's not a compliment, it's a raging red flag and an indicator of his insecurity. Don't settle for this. You deserve better. I married the guy that told me he liked that I was fat because he didn't have to worry about other men wanting me. Don't be like me. Know your worth, because he clearly doesn't. I took a shower after weeks. Yes, you read the title right. I didn't shower for weeks on end due to my depression. I was neglecting my hygiene and staying in bed all day, either sleeping or watching TV. Well, today I took a shower and brushed my teeth. I even had music playing in the shower with my speaker. It's not much, but it's honest work, and I'm proud of myself for at least trying. I know that struggle of maintaining hygiene when you're depressed. It's really hard, impossibly hard. People who have never been depressed can't understand. I'm proud of you. Baby steps turn into leaps. Rick, yeah, good job, man. Remember, it's okay to do things half-assed. Sometimes you can't manage to take a shower every week, so you do it every 2. Or you can't brush your teeth in the morning and at night, so you only do it at night. It's better than nothing. Slay! It's hard to make a change in your life. 10 times that with depression. Good for you. This is more common than you think, and you posting this could really help someone else who reads it that's in a similar situation. Remember, you do things at your pace, and don't be hard on yourself if you take a step slightly backwards for a second. That being said, I'm very proud of you. Thank you for sharing, and I hope you can continue in the direction you're hoping for sooner than you think. I don't know if my family traditions are ethical. My family partakes in inbreeding. Fucking what? The people that we tend to marry can vary from first cousins to siblings. My mom isn't my father's first wife, and she isn't fully related to him, but she is his half cousin. My father's first wife was his sister. She died due to heart complications, and they shared 2 daughters. A while ago, my half sister, 28F, invited me to have drinks with some of her friends. In the country I live in, the legal drinking age is 16, and the topic of our appearance came up. We all look very similar to each other. I have lightly researched before I posted this, and it is common for inbred children to be some sort of albino, facial deformities as well. I'm not sure. And I told them that it was because we are related. Her friend didn't realize what I meant, and more than likely took it as what it sounded like. We both share the same father, so of course we look alike. My sister did, though, and we ended up leaving early. On the car ride home, she told me that our family matters are meant to stay quiet and away from people who aren't our own. She kept saying that even after we arrived home, and even told my parents about it. My father got very upset after she told him and left the house. My mother simply told me that I wouldn't be able to keep going out with my sister and her friends if I didn't learn how to act properly while other people are in attendance. I spent the entirety of the night looking up why our relation's wrong, and I haven't been able to stop thinking of it since. This happened a fortnight ago, and I'm still debating whether I should post this or not. But I need counseling, and I don't want to ask my parents about it. I just need to make it known to someone, as I have no friends. I am homeschooled and only ever leave the house with my sisters, and my full-blooded brothers seem to be aware with how our family dynamics aren't socially acceptable and are okay with it. I don't know what to do. I apologize for the formatting, as I am posting this on mobile. English isn't my first language, so forgive me if there are any spelling errors. Edit. First off, thank you for the kind words and comments. I've been trying my best to answer all and will continue to do so. I do not know the legality of most things, but there have been people that have commented asking about it, and I will like to answer in the best possible way. I did not know that homeschooling is illegal in Germany up until 30 minutes ago. My mother has been my tutor since I was a child. I know next to nothing of her own education, but she says it's the same as my own. I also do not know the legality and legitimacy of their marriages now that it has been brought to my attention that it is not legal to marry one sibling in my country. I was not aware. My grandparents were cousins. That is as far back as I know, but it could go further than that. Our family members tend to remarry often, 4 or 5 times, and there are a lot of family members, so I understand as to how it could be confusing. My parents are not physically abusive to us. They do not hit us, nor do they restrict anything from us. We each have our own room and our own beds. My father's first daughters are one of the only few people in our family family that have friends outside of our relatives. They are older, therefore they have more freedom to go out and socialize. That is all I know. I hope I'm able to update soon enough. Not sure where you live, but there are serious medical reasons why close family members should not marry. It causes many birth defects and medical problems. Just be safe and steer clear of having relationships sexual with close family members. Only date people not related to you. You don't have to follow in their footsteps. They are not. They should end with you. Definitely avoid sexual relationships with your family members. Read up on sex ed online if you can. I do not know how old you are, but I'm gonna assume you're teenage. You seem to be somewhat isolated from the world, but having no sexual partner until adulthood is better than establishing sexual relationships with a relative. I'm so sorry you're learning this right now. I don't know how you found Reddit, but I hope you will be able to get help. Are your sisters or brothers involved in some relationships? They need to stop. Inbreeding is illegal due to huge risks in health. Now, I'm worried that things are even worse. I've heard about these cases in cults. Are your parents practicing physical punishments on you? Locking you or chaining you? Do you have your own room and bed? Do you have enough food even if you are punished? Learn about human and child rights in Germany, and you all should attend school. Homeschooling is illegal. Do you have any documents about your name and date of birth? I recently turned 16 and was able to use the internet freely. I have been on TikTok and found it through posts there. None of my siblings are in any romantic or sexual relationships, but the youngest of my eldest sisters is in a relationship with my uncle. My parents do not punish us, and each of my siblings has our own rooms and beds. They tend to be more strict when it comes to phones and access to the internet as well as going out. They do not physically hurt us. I'm very surprised that you're allowed to use the internet, especially Reddit. Do not tell anyone. There is a reason why some countries and cults ban the use of the World Wide Web. You can get information that is not controlled by those in charge, meaning you are now aware of the millions of other people who live different lives and have exotic opinions. Stay safe, learn, keep in touch. We'll all be happy to broaden your knowledge with facts, some fiction, and memes. I was recently only able to do so as I am older now. I will not tell anyone what I have learned. Thank you for your advice. My ex's son told me last night I'm the best mom he's ever had. I, 50F, still live with my ex, M48, and his son, 18. We broke up a couple of months ago, his decision not mine, and have been living mostly amicably until he saved some money so we can all move on. His son moved in with us a couple years ago after falling out with his mom and stepfather, and it hasn't been easy. My ex went into a breakdown and didn't work for a year. Stepson had a lot of issues and my menopause hit like a tornado, but I've tried to keep things together. Arguments were mostly kept away from the son, and I tried my hardest to keep it all together. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough. My ex went back to work and decided he no longer felt anything for me. Last night my ex went out and the son called up to me asking if we could talk. He's never done this before. We've obviously talked various things through, and I held him for so long when he broke down after moving in. He asked me how I was doing, and I instantly burst into tears. I try so hard to keep my emotions in check in the house and hide it away from them both. He gave me the biggest hug and said, "I don't understand what happened. You are the best thing that's ever happened to him. You're the best mom I've ever had." And that just broke me. I've never been a mom to anyone. He then asked me if it was okay if we still stayed in touch when I finally move out, and that he always wants me in his life because I'm the only adult who's ever truly listened to him and talked to him properly. I just care for him so much, and knowing that he feels like this just makes me believe that I have done something right. I just feel weird not telling my ex about this conversation. I guess it's between me and his son. I also made sure he understands I've never wanted to replace his mom, and we talked about ways he could mend his fractured relationship with his mom and stepdad. Anyway, I just needed to share that somewhere because I'm sitting here in tears typing this, that at the age of 50, someone has called me their mom. Edit, thank you so much. Honestly, I haven't stopped sobbing at the comments and awards. I didn't even know they existed. He's gone to his mom's tonight, which makes me so happy because it shows that he's trying to build bridges there. I don't want him to think his dad's a bad guy because he isn't. He just doesn't know how to behave in relationships. The whole situation just hurts so much because I don't want to go, but I have to save myself. But I will always be there for him. Thank you for your post. I'm glad the son was able to express to you how valuable you are and how amazing you have been in his life. I was a teenager when they broke up, and I never had the opportunity to let him know how I felt or feel. Thank you for sharing your story. At least he has one stable influence in his life. It is weird sometimes when we hear how much we affect someone when we are just trying to hold it together. You deserve better, and I hope you get it. Well, that took care of my cry quota for the day. That was so raw and honest, from the soul kind of stuff. I'm glad you two will still have each other. Take care, OP. I dated a woman for 5 years. Her son was 8, and I don't have kids, and it had its ups and downs, but I absolutely love that boy. When we broke up, I really got my life on track, but I made sure that I was always there for him. I love him like a son because he is in a way. We talk all the time. You can totally still be in his life after y'all split, but if you have feelings for the dad, it'll be hard. I found it easier since my ex left for someone else. My parents told my brother they don't want to see him anymore for being gay. This is the worst situation ever, but I'm glad that I'm able to help him. I, 21M, have a younger brother, 16M. We have always been close, and he oftentimes chooses to come over to me over our parents when he's struggling, as our parents aren't the best in that regard. He told me he was gay last month. I was happy that he told me, but worried at our parents' reaction. He told me he would figure something out, and I told him to call me if he ever needs help. Last night he called me sobbing, telling me that our parents kicked him out and don't want him anymore. He said that they found out he was gay and started calling him a predator and a freak, and said they don't want a gay son around their house. My heart broke when I heard that. My brother is the best kid, and my parents did that. I hate my parents so much right now. I went up and picked him up, and he is staying at my apartment. He is a mess, and I'm doing my best to comfort him. I want my parents to suffer for what they did. How can someone do that to an innocent child? I'm gonna try and get custody of him. He deserves someone who loves him for who he is. What your parents did is illegal, and they can get in trouble for kicking/abandoning a minor. I would have them sign over guardianship to you, then go and see with them. I'm petty, so I would tell them, congratulations, they are now childless, and to never expect to see their future grandchildren. Plus, I would have signed them up for different LGBTQ organizations so that they would receive the newsletters in the mail. Sorry your parents suck, but thanks for being an awesome older brother. As the mother of queer teens, reading things like this always breaks my heart. If your religion, I guess it has a religious background, tells you to hate your child, it's time to reevaluate your religion. I love all my children just as they are, so should every parent. Big love, my man. I'm glad you're not like your parents. I'm really happy he has someone to turn to. I couldn't imagine how he must feel right now. Cut your parents out of your life too. If they don't want him, they don't get you either. I definitely plan on it. Damn, I'm so sorry. My uncle and aunt did this to my cousin. We didn't even know why he stopped being around the family until a couple of years later when my sister ran into him in another state. The rest of us in the family got together and decided that we weren't going to stand for this. We told uncle and aunt that we supported my cousin and we're inviting him to all the family events. And if they didn't want to see him, they could stay home. It helped somewhat. Your brother needs support. Thank you for being there for him. I've been Ubering wrong this whole time. Y'all, I didn't know I was supposed to sit in the back seat. I honestly had no idea. I just hop in the front and start chatting, and now I'd like the earth to swallow me whole. You are not required to sit in the back seat. I was out with my husband in our friend group, and they laughed hysterically when I told them I always sit in the front. The no front seat policy was implemented during COVID and is no longer the policy. There is no reason for them to laugh at you. Some Ubers prefer you to sit in a specific spot. It's only happened once, but I was asked to sit in the front by the most wholesome Iranian grandpa ever. I complimented his gold rings and he thanked me for the whole ride. I'm dying to know your Uber rating. 5 stars. See, you're fine. Your husband and friend were being weird. That's pretty baller. I'd love that as a driver because I feel like picking up an old friend, Lamau. In my country, Uber drivers ask you to sit in the front. I hate that. If you say no, sometimes they don't let you in or they get angry. The corals are dying. Edit, they're replanting all the staghorn in Lukey to 60 feet so they hopefully won't cook, fingers crossed. My best friend is a coral researcher in the Florida Keys. The heat waves have caused bleaching and 100% mortality in many nurseries. They've worked so hard over the last 10 years to protect and propagate these animals just to watch them boil to death in a week. It's absolutely horrifying, and the emotions we all feel are just, it's empty. Most people don't care about this because it's not megafauna, but the oceans are dying before our eyes and it breaks my soul. It's very sad. My son was fragging and planting coral with moat in March. I wonder how the nursery's doing. It's so far beyond being a damn shame, and even sadder is hardly anyone gives frick one. Cheers to your friend and to you for posting, OP. It's sad how often people don't take the destruction of the planet seriously. Often the smallest of our flora and fauna show the signs the hardest. People don't think of coral as important, so they dismiss how sad something like this is and how it's an indicator of an even larger problem. Thank you for caring and posting about this. My dad is a zoologist and his work really gets him down sometimes. He and all his colleagues have devoted their lives to studying organisms that most people know nothing about, so when those organisms die because of climate change, it seems like nobody cares. I don't know what to say, except I felt it too. Just because it's underwater doesn't make it any less of a tragedy. Us Aussies know the Great Barrier Reef is suffering too. I hate humans sometimes. I dumped my best friend today. Kay has recently had a baby, and I ended up looking after her dogs. One was fat, otherwise healthy, and indoors. One small elderly dog, Pally, was kept outdoors all the time. She was moved to an outdoor dog because she toileted inside. A kennel flooded with 3 inches of rancid green water was her only shelter. She slept on a wet bed in the rain. It's winter here at the moment. Pally was emaciated in line with the worst of the worst you see on animal rescue shows. I spoke to Kay and told her she had to feed the dog 4 small meals a day. She complained that it was a lot of work. Apparently they have done this to a dog in the past. Pally had previously been owned by a mutual friend of both of us, G. She has since been reacquired by G. In 3 days, she has not toileted inside. She came home yesterday. I just went out, handed her back her keys, and dumped her. The conditions that dog were in were disgusting. I can't tolerate it. It's an absolute deal breaker for me. I wish you the best with your baby. I really do. But don't call, don't text, don't visit. And I walked off. She was speechless. That's sad. Toileting inside means they need the time and training. It's a reflection of the owner that they expect the dog to just figure it out. Anyway, the way people treat their animals reveals quite a bit about their empathy. Good on you for having a firm grasp on your principles. Maybe this experience will also help her work on herself too and become better. The fact that she had a baby worried me. In my experience, people that aren't able to look after dogs aren't able to look after kids neither. If someone you know is still in contact with her, they should look after the baby condition in the futures and the other dog. It may as well end up outside when they figure out how much it works is to look after a dog and a kid. Hard decision, but a good one. I'm happy it sounds like the dog is in a much better place now. Well done, you made the right choice here. I'm currently in a no-speaking standoff with my best friend of 12 years due to her wanting to adopt a Savannah kitten with no knowledge of the breed. Also in the last 9 years, I've known her to adopt then take to a shelter 5 dogs. She also had a cat which died a preventable death if she could have afforded to take him to the vets. She also doesn't neuter her animals. This kitten is my last straw. Stay strong, OP. 99.9999% of the time, a dog is a reflection of its owner. My sister left her dog with me to babysit, and today it got run over by a car car and died. My sister left her dog, I'll call her Maya, with me for 15 days. She was supposed to get back from vacation on Friday. She left Maya with us, me and my husband, because we love dogs and always pamper them. Today my husband was taking Maya to the groomers and took our dog with her for a walk. He was crossing the street, both dogs were on a leash, and a lady took a left turn at full speed and hit Maya. Almost ran over my husband and my dog. Apparently Maya died instantly. I arrived at the scene. I was at home 5 minutes away and saw that Maya was gone. We took her to the emergency vet and they confirm our worst fears. I have been crying nonstop and I'm consumed with guilt and sadness of what happened. Not your fault. Tell your sister what happened as soon as you can, and if she wants to blame someone, she needs to blame the lady that hit her dog. I was wondering if I wait to tell her until she gets back, but maybe it's better to let her know now. She would want to know immediately, wouldn't you? You were right. I'll let her know right now. Thank you. Did your husband talk to this woman? Did she drive off? Because she should be in jail. Don't wait. When my pet died, it was awful. Neighbor didn't tell us. Was so excited to see her, got back, and she was in a horrid state, which was so traumatic for me. Had to be PTS immediately. Much more traumatic than telling straight away. My Pitbull got into a fight with my other dog, and now I can't look at her the same. So I have 3 dogs. 2 of them are girls. One's a German Shepherd, Bella, and the other is a Pitbull, Luna. Bella is about 9 months old, and Luna is about 10 to 11. I've always been a huge defender of Pitbulls, saying that they're not all violent, and Luna only proved that. She was the sweetest, cuddliest, friendliest dog I've ever met, and previously would have never hurt anyone. Then she attacked Bella, and while breaking up the fight, she bit me, and I needed stitches. Bella is okay, by the way. I've heard stories of Pitbulls who were previously friendly just snapping out of the blue, something about it being in their nature, and I always just wrote it off since I thought Luna would never, but now I just feel so conflicted. I love Luna, and I hate feeling like this, but it just makes me think, is the stigma about Pitbulls true? I'm so sorry you experienced this. We too had a pitty named Luna who mauled our other dog in a snap. That's always stuck with me and made me super hesitant. She was a good girl and knew our other dog her whole life, so I don't know what changed. I have a little social corgi now, and I always get poop talk when a mutual friend brings up their big friendly Pitty, but Pitty has already growled repeatedly at my pup. I always excuse us and get my dog safely put away, but they won't stop talking about how friendly their dog is and how it makes them look bad. It's traumatizing, and I'm not risking it for your ego. I think you have to ask yourself if you could live with yourself if Luna killed your other dog or attacked someone else. It's one thing to be bitten yourself, and that in itself is a lesson, but if they do it to someone else, could you live with yourself? My grandfather was a pediatrician, and he told me the worst dog bites he ever saw were pit bull bites. This man loved dogs, but he was firm that pit bulls were dangerous and should not be around children or smaller dogs. I know a beautiful young girl who had her face mauled off and her nose ripped off by her previous sweet pit bull. Her arm was destroyed too. It was horrific. It does seem there is a risk with that breed. She too had a sweet seeming dog who just turned on her. Many other stories like that too I've read. Definitely risky if she bit you to the point of needing stitches. Pit Mix mauled me when I was 6. Scar on my arm, reduced strength from nerve and tendon damage. It was all my fault for getting close to the dog. He is so sweet. I have not trusted a dog since. Went to a strip club and left feeling sad. For the context, I'm 26M, not ugly, nor am I unsuccessful with women. I just wanted a fun night with a good friend of mine. We found ourselves in a strip club which was empty from customers and had only 3 dancers inside. One of them was sitting with us talking to my friend, and while I didn't know what they were saying at first, I could see that their mood was sad. Turns out she told them how sad she was, how she's going from bad to worse in life, and what a hard time she's having there. The other dancers were a bit older of age, but she was much younger than us. Long story short, we gave her the money we would spend without even getting any private dances or anything. Finished our drinks and left, discussing how sad we both felt about her. Do you guys think she acted like this in order to make us spend more money on her? I don't even want to think about it, but this whole event kind of ruined our night. Thanks for reading, everyone, and take care. I mean, I was a stripper for many years in my early 20s, and I knew a bunch of girls who would take the customer on a guilt trip ride like this, so you probably got played. Her usual everyday strategy works like a charm every gosh dang day. You got taken 100%. Doesn't matter. You did the right thing, and others' potential bad behavior doesn't change that.